Oh man, let's get to it. This is episode 243 of the No Hangover podcast. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, rate, follow across all platforms. We're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, and we're on Apple Podcasts. Check us out on our socials on Instagram at No Hangover Podcast and on TikTok at No_Hangover. Subscribe, like, comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you don't like, what you like, all that good stuff. We're back with another one, and I feel like it's pretty. I haven't recorded in shit probably like a month and a half now. Just, life, doing things, working stuff. I don't know if you could see it on camera, but I'm back in a walking boot, so there's that. But I feel like Jay is back. If you guys recognize, but if not, and you're first time listener, this is Jay. I've had him on the podcast before. It was a great conversation. Go check that out. But I just feel like, I don't know, just given everything, it's the end of the year, just everything that's going on in my life right now. I feel like this is a very, very fitting guest to come back to and get recording again. So glad to have you on.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it.
How you been? How's life been? It's been what? It was like 2 months ago that we recorded?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Something like that. Just getting ready for the holidays. My weird borderline or autistic brain is just like, I can't wait until like January 4th where it's just like, it's just Monday. Get back to a routine, but it's it's fun to watch. I've got a 7-year-old. Like, it's cool to watch him because I know what Christmas is gonna look like. I know he's gonna be up and like,
the excitement.
The excitement.
It brings back. I feel like it kind of brings back the holiday feel.
Yeah.
It's like when you grow up, it's like, oh, none of this shit. Like, it's just another, like you said, it's just another fucking day.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's Christmas, but it's a fucking random Thursday, like, or whatever day it falls on this year. So it's like, days kind of just feel all one big thing when you get older. So like having a child and having that youthful energy, I feel like definitely like you said, brings back that energy.
Yeah.
Like,
even saying it, I'm like, he's 7 years old. I'm like, how the fuck did that happen? 7 years? I'm like, it seems like we had him yesterday. And now I like watch him. He's just like walking around, and just like talking
little
shit,
person.
just like telling you the things he's not gonna do and the things he's gonna do, and you're like, what? Like, it's like all those all the things your parents used to say, and you catch yourself saying, and you're like,
wow. That's like, I'm sure that's like a full circle, like,
yeah, like,
what the fuck is life right now?
Yeah, I'm like, close the door.
You're letting all the cold air out of the refrigerator.
You're trying to air condition the whole time. Like, I just like, jeez.
Oh man, that's funny. That's funny. But I mean, one of the things that I wanted to ask you or ask you about on the last podcast that we didn't get to was, fitness stuff and exercising and things like that, gym stuff, because that's something that you pretty much, that's your career path for the most part, or it has been, or it's been a big part of your life in one way or another. And same with me, not necessarily as far as career, but just sports, being in the gym, working out, keeping up with my body, staying in shape, kind of things like that. And you've done a lot. You've gone to school, you've got your degrees, you've got all types of certification and things like that. And I've always felt like, I don't know, I guess like the working out and like gym culture is such an odd thing, especially with like a lot more of like the commercial gyms that are coming along. Planet Fitness has been here for a while, but like Crunch and things like that like very much promote, inclusion and everybody's welcome and things like that, which I'm glad. I think the one thing that I love about the gym is that everybody that's walking in there is like trying to get better some way, somehow. And not off the top of my head, I can't think of too many other places that are like that you're walking in and like every single person that walks in there is like, how am I going to improve? How am I going to get better? Like, what is the, there's something that they're trying to work towards. But like in that as well, like, I feel like just naturally, because you're working on your body, like there's so much just internal judgment. And even in some cases with like, I know you can speak on it better than I can, but with bodybuilding and with physique competitions and things like that, like it really just comes down to like preference and body type in the judges and things like that. And people will be ranked first, second, and third. And you know what that does to like your ego and your psychology and all that things like can be kind of counteractive to what I guess the mainstream outlook or the mainstream, I guess not stigma narrative is on like gym and working out culture.
Yeah. I mean, I
know that was a lot there.
No, I mean, I guess I was, and I don't coach full time now. It's always been something that I've done. You know, I think I was thinking about that earlier today. I was like, you know, I got my first personal training certification in 2002. So what's that? 23 years ago.
Yeah.
You know,
Damn.
and fuck, it was Jesus Christ. It was purely because I grew up as an athlete. I was always an undersized athlete. I never liked practicing. I never liked weightlifting, like hated all of it. The very first, I had a job in a gym. You know, I played lacrosse as a kid. I was always undersized, but I, you know, moved up real quick because I was from Maryland. I was a lacrosse player from Maryland in Florida. So day one, the coaches were like, "Where are you from?" And I was like, "Baltimore." And they're like, "This kid's starting." You know, but I weighed, you know, I was like 6 foot tall and I weighed like 140 pounds. I was like a tiny dude. And so I got a job at a gym for a free membership. So I had to go there. I just had to like clean up and put plates away. Andre Reed's Powerhouse Gym on 436, which is now
like the football player Andre Reed.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Now it's Super Walmart. It's that part where the Walmart is in Castleberry. Yeah.
Damn, for real.
Yeah, there used to be a strip plaza in there. Yeah. And in there was a gym, Andre Reed's Powerhouse Gym. And so I worked there and put away plates, and I hated it. Hated it. And my buddy, shout outs to Andy Baker, he played baseball at Lake Howell, and he was like, if you're gonna be a good athlete, you gotta punch weight. Yeah. It's like, you're gonna go to the gym with me, we're gonna do some stuff. And I was like, oh, and I hated it. Like every second of it, couldn't stand it.
That is like with the sports stuff, it is kind of like weird to me how you either love going into the gym and lifting weights and doing all that, or it's like, fuck, this fucking blows. Like there is really very little middle ground. And like for me at least, like once I found my love for lifting weights pretty quickly, because I started putting on weight and getting strong like relatively quickly. Like as far as when I started working out to, you know, 2-3 months later, I'm like, oh damn, like from where I was, and I was like, damn, this is gonna be hard, benching, squatting, all this shit. Like, and then two short months later, seeing it, like I saw that I was progressing a lot faster. So it was easier for me to be like, oh, like I don't mind being in the gym, like this shit, like, and I saw it translating onto the field as well. So
yeah. I mean, it helped. I did make progress pretty quickly, but I didn't last. Like I went to the gym, I think, you know, at that age, I was like 16, I couldn't drive. So I was like 15 or 14. I didn't last there very long. I think I was there just between seasons, like, you know, just between sports seasons. And, but what got me, which is typical for a lot of dudes, what got me was my best friend Trent growing up we were both tall, lanky kids. You know, Trent's, you know, 6'1", 6'2". He's a little bit taller than me, a little bit thicker than me, but he was also just a thin dude. I stayed here, went to Rollins. He went to USF, and then he came back that summer, and he was just yoked.
Yeah.
And he had been working out. He had joined a fraternity. And I just remember like all the girls that we had grown up with were all of a sudden giving Trent all this attention. So, you know, I'm like, and I'm just sitting there like, wait a minute. Like what? There's something like, what is happening?
And I just clicking for it.
And it was like that. I was like, okay, I need to figure out, I need to get to the gym.
Hey.
And I remember that. I still remember to this day, the first time I went to a gym by myself and I thought I had it figured out. And I went to, before Rollins, the gym, before it was what it is now, it was like you went to the basketball court and you went to the back, you had to go behind the bleachers and you went up these stairs and you had to go down some stairs, and they had this gym that wasn't much bigger than this room. Maybe two of these. It was like very small, and there was just like plates and shit everywhere, the old school like metal plates. And there was a bench in the middle. And so I had gone to gyms a number of times, and I saw dudes put 45s on both sides.
It's like regular, like it's just a regular
That's what
thing.
you do.
Yeah.
You start with 45s, right?
Yeah.
And at the time, I didn't know what that weighed.
Yeah.
I was just like, 45.
What we do, yeah.
This is what you do. This is how it starts. There's nobody else in this little gym. It's just me.
Fuck.
I weigh 100. I probably weighed 145. I weighed just a little bit more than the weight I was going to try to move. And I just remember pushing it off the safeties and just immediately just like slamming it down on my chest and just being stuck and just like, and luckily at the time I didn't know enough to put clips on the end. So I could do the like slide it off, the plates fall off once, and then slide
slingshots to the other side.
other side. But what it did was, just because I, got this stupid personality where I hate not being good at things.
Yeah,
I was like, fuck that. Like I'm gonna get real good at this. And I just remember like finishing, like going there and going, okay, let me take all this weight off. I'll just start with the bar, getting through that, and then the next time I was like, okay, I did that. Let me try to get a little bit more. At the time, I had no idea that I was doing the thing that you're supposed to do.
right.
I didn't know that that's how it worked.
Well, it's funny too because like a lot of people get they fucking ego lift, and especially when they work out with somebody that has been working out, has been in the gym, has figured out their body, figured out what worked for them, and things like that. And you're bringing somebody that is trying to get into the gym and figure things out. They see what you're doing, so they're like, oh well, that's what I should be doing. It's like, no, like. Start like, especially in the beginning, like whenever I would train people, I was like, don't worry about how much you're lifting or whatever. Like focus on your form. That's what you need to focus on right now. Don't look at the weight. Don't look at any of that shit. It does not matter. Do something that's going to be comfortable for you, but like literally just that for like the first like week, 2 weeks, and really get good at it. Make sure you're working the muscles that you're supposed to be doing, using those and all that. And then once you figure that out, then you can start playing with the weight a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah.
And then because I feel like there's this mentality, especially now that like it's a sprint, especially with, a lot of like the gear and the testosterone and all that extra shit. Like people see it as like, I need to get as big and as cut as I can, as quick as I can. And like you could do that. But I mean, it's just kind of like with everything else, like that fast money comes and goes. It's the same thing. Those fast muscles come and go. Like once you stop taking whatever you're taking and don't work out, look how you're going to look in like a month or however long it takes. And, when it's a marathon, you got to take your time, just like life, just like everything else. You have to be willing to put in the work and be willing to be in it for the long haul. And a lot of people get that, just like you were saying, like, oh, 45s, let's just put that on there and see how this goes. It's like, nah, like who cares what everybody else thinks? Start with a wimpy ass weight and then you can start gauging from there. Because if you try and put on too much, hurt yourself, fuck yourself up. Who was that one running back from USC? The
guy that was using the
way, and he dropped it on his fucking throat and almost died.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
that shit's real.
A grown man did die recently. He was benching. It had to have been 350. There were 3 plates. I doubt he would put 325s on there, but it looked like 315. And he was using a suicide grip, and sure enough, it slipped, it hit him on the chest. And I don't know what happened, but you saw him get up and you just saw him make a face and he just fell down. That was it. He's gone.
Damn.
Like done.
Yeah. So that shit is like, it's.
And that's the worst case.
Right.
That's the
like, how did we get to this point?
Scenario. Don't be afraid of that, viewers. It's not. Don't worry about that. But that's the worst case scenario. That doesn't happen often at all.
But like on a smaller scale, like, you tear a muscle, like, and especially if you're just starting, that could be extremely discouraging. And then, not only now are you not working out, but then you have an injury to deal with. So then that kind of, a lot of the times that kind of pushes you more to be out of shape and not really take care of things. And like, oh, well, I hurt myself, so I'm not going back and doing that again. Like, it's like, no, like you kind of need to do the opposite. You need to get better and then get back in there so you can build up that strength again. And like, if it was a pectoral tear or a muscle tear, so you could kind of get back to where you were and not just let it wither away.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there is kind of, as I've gotten older, and it sounds like a boomer, but I think social media has just ruined a lot of things.
Yeah.
Fitness is probably very high up on the list of things that it's ruined.
Yeah.
Because nobody sees someone struggle through the tough bits. They only see like they only see their best performances. They only see their best look. They don't see, and it's real common in the fitness industry or with bodybuilders where it's like you only take pictures and videos when you're in shape.
Right.
Never when you're out of shape. So you'd basically just like bank, I'm going to bank 6 months of photos and videos. So that's what I'll use on social media during that time when I'm, bulking or I'm not shredded, and so it gives people the connotation or the idea that like, I have to be shredded all the time, or I got to be jacked all the time. And
that's just like not a thing.
It's not realistic.
Like your body goes through. I mean, the simple weigh yourself in the morning and weigh yourself before you go to bed, and you'll see like the type of weight fluctuation you can have just throughout a day. Like, yeah, that was something that I want to bring up because like I don't follow a lot of like fitness influencers, but like just naturally it'll come up on like my explore page and things like that, and then it will be some of the same guys, and a lot of it is like just like shitting on people and then like come by my fucking workout plan because mine's better than this guy's. And it's just like I understand the business model behind it and like what they're trying to do as far as like, the rage baiting and all that shit and the clicks and all that to get people to go to their page. But like, again, that to me, it seems very, I don't know, just like, I feel like it feeds into the negative narrative of like what the gym is and kind of like, I don't know, discourages like I don't know what would be just an everyday person from wanting to go and not wanting to go.
Yeah, I think.
And so like, I know you worked in that space too. Like you were on social media and things like that. And so, what do you feel about that? And like, how do you feel like that, like why that is?
So the one of the problems with the fitness space is that the vast majority of people don't know anything about it. So that allows people who know a little bit to say whatever, sort of unchecked by most people. The flip side of that, like you said, there are people that do know some things and they're real quick to call those people out. The tough part is the viewer who doesn't know who's right and who's wrong just now it's almost like information. This is too much information. Right. I don't know who's right. So the option that they go with is just to do neither one of those things. They do nothing because they're like, there's too much information. I don't know who to trust. I'm going to do none of these things. And so you find these people that are just super confused about something. They're even more confused now because now they're on social media. They're hearing something from somebody and they go, I'm going to do that thing. And then 2 weeks later, they see somebody sort of bashing what that person was saying. And then they're like, I don't know what to do.
Right.
And so it's become this weird situation. It's almost like the Wild West in the worst way. I think just like everything else in current civilization, current society, it's the pendulum's going to have to swing the other way. And it's just tough for people to make these decisions because the first thing that people have to do is just to make the decision to change, right? So there's this trans theoretical model of change. And the first part of it is like, let me just make the decision that I'm going to change. And a lot of people can do that.
Right.
Eventually they have to action that they have to do it. Right. But the problem is they get into this thought of like, I'm going to do something before they even get the opportunity to actionize any of it. They're already questioning whether or not they're going to do it. So they never make it to the next step.
Right.
So the fitness industry within itself has kind of ruined that because we've flooded the market with too much information because that's the way you get clicks, or we flooded the market with people just arguing about their opinion on things, whether or not it's true or not.
Right.
And so that makes it even more confusing for people. So now the good thing about it is, to some degree, is that I think it's going to force people to go back to the gym because now there's this, and granted, I was part of it, this whole like online coaching thing. I think what that's going to do is it's going to almost force people to go back to the gym, to go and get a physical, like somebody they see on a regular basis. So now they just listen to this one person because I see this person. I don't need to worry about whatever's going on social media. I'm not going to get captured by all this nonsense that's going on, whether or not it's true or not. I'm just going to listen to this one. So there's a positive there. The tough part is like the pendulum, it's got to keep swinging. Right now, there's infighting within the industry with evidence-based practitioners, people who will not, they kind of follow the scientific literature for the majority of their programming for their clients, the people they work with. They kind of use that as the scaffolding for all their decisions, but that's fine. That's great.
Right.
The problem is that even that space has become captured by people who are like, I've got a paper, and there's a lot of these like PhD candidates where they're like, I wrote a paper on this thing. Let me get 2 or 3 other PhD candidates to now support this thing. It may be right, it might be wrong, but then you have this sort of older contingent of evidence-based practitioners who are like, no, this is nonsense. Like that, you just made that up. Or it's something that's existed for a long time and now you've put a different name on it and now it's new. So it's just, it's a weird, in all honesty, I have 3 different Instagram accounts. One for fitness stuff, one for car stuff, and then one that's like my personal family page.
Yeah.
The one that I go to the least is the fitness page, because I know once I go there, I'm going to get like 2 swipes up and I'm just going to be like, like, I just can't. It's become almost, it's maybe it's just the amount of time that I've been in it. Like after all this time, I'm just like, but I mean, most people just need to understand is that when you first start, like the step 1 is just start. Like don't worry about the fine details.
Right. And that's I feel like that's with most things that you want to try in life, or like you're scared to do, or like kind of like, I don't know, like you just do it. Don't even think about all the extra stuff. Like if you'll get there eventually, and you're gonna kind of like, fuck, like this is not as great as I thought it was gonna be.
But it's progression. Like that's how you like you make progress, but you make a ton of progress at the beginning because you're just doing something.
Right.
Milk that time for as long as you possibly can. You can get away with not having a perfect diet. You can probably get away with like not the best training program.
Right.
Like your technique, it needs to be good, but not perfect. Like there's like things you can get away with because you're giving your body a stimulus that it's never had before.
Yeah, I was just like, you're giving a shock to your body. So it's just like, oh, fuck, like, what is this? Like an all new thing. So like, it's gonna fucking speed things up and make things kind of fucking start working again, essentially.
Yeah. So if you've done 0 sets, if you've done no leg training ever, and you do leg training one day, you're up 1.
Right.
Your body's got to adapt to that. You do another one, that's 2. You're moving on.
Right.
It takes probably 6 months of someone who's never trained before until your body starts to kind of push back. And it pushes back not very much initially. Like it kind of like pushes back a little bit. You can get away with that first 6 months with like anything. Like I think most people I'm sure you can attest, like when you first started training, like you said, you made progress at the beginning. I guarantee your diet probably wasn't perfect. Your training probably wasn't perfect. Like I remember going, like the first time there was like 5 or 6 of us together. We're at the gym and we were just doing all the chest, like everything, every bench press,
just with no fucking coordination, just fucking going it, and
just
doing
some shit. Everything gets 3 sets of 10 because that makes sense. 3, 10
sounds about right.
Everything, and you just do those things. And granted, I look back, I'm like, oh, we were doing too much, but at the time, it was better than what we were doing before.
Right.
We were young, we were probably getting enough sleep.
Right.
Our bodies were still growing. Testosterone was through the roof.
And everything that you ate turned into fucking fuel for your body.
You're just
it didn't matter.
Primed up to grow. Right. So it works. And even people that have never trained before that are older, that's how, like, your body's adapted. That's the one thing that people get real jammed up on, where they're like, I'm older, I can't make progress anymore. Like, oh, well, I'm going to start working out, I'm old. No, that's not how the human body works. It adapts regardless of how old
you are. And a lot of those things will start, giving you a testosterone spike. Once you start working out, like your energy levels start going up. Once you start working out, like, all the dopamines, all this shit starts coming back out once you start moving again.
Yeah. It's like your body's meant, it's a reason why we have legs. Our body's not meant to sit down all day and do nothing. It's meant to move around. We've only made it this far because we could move around.
Right.
So people get this idea of like, I can't start, and they make these excuses like, oh, I have a family and I have a job. And it's like, well, most people have families and jobs.
Right.
Like that's not.
Well, and I think that's also like a real big misconception, is that you need to spend like 2-3 hours in the gym. It's like, nah, you could get a solid workout in 45 minutes. And if that's all you have to fit in your schedule, like I know people that's what they do, like, for their everyday workout, and they fucking look great. Like they put me to fucking shame, and I feel like I look pretty all right. So it's like, it doesn't take, lifting a lot of crazy weights or doing a lot of crazy reps and sets or different workouts. It's just, again, like finding what's going to work for you, whether that is lifting weights. Some people that doesn't work for them. Some people need to do more cardio based, calisthenics, fucking be a runner, fucking
just do something
for real. That's the American Ninja Warrior stuff. That stuff, like the obstacle, like that's how I really started. Like when I was younger, like I was always just, my grandparents had like a jungle gym in their backyard, and they had like Olympic rings and monkey bars and shit. And like I was on that shit all the time. You cannot get me off of that shit, doing flips and stuff. And like that's how I really started, like, oh yeah, like moving around and playing and running is fun. Like,
yeah.
And then you just kind of have to, as you get older, like adjust to, what's going on around you. Then, once I started getting into high school, well, first it started with that. And then I did, what did I do first? I did Taekwondo. Then I was on a swim team. Then I did soccer. And then once I got into high school, I was playing football. So, you find it in different avenues and areas. And that's when, when I was 15, that's when I started first getting into the weight room and lifting weights. I'm like, oh, bet. And then as I started getting older, once sports wasn't really a part of my life anymore, you figure out, well, maybe I'm lifting weights too much. What can I do to kind of mix up this routine to kind of, again, give my body that shock so I can, when I go back to lifting weights in a month or two, then I can start seeing some progress again and things like that. I feel like people have it like so in their head that it's like there's one way to do this and that's the only way. Like, nah. Herschel Walker did fucking 1 million push-ups and 2 million body squats and 3 million abs a day, and he was fucking ripped, jacked, swole running back. Like, there's different ways. It's really just about, again, figuring out your body, what's gonna work, and then, if you need that extra push, getting with a trainer, somebody that knows. But kind of going back to what back on topic a little bit, with the online coaching, like, knowing everything that was going on and kind of all the stuff with social media and stuff like that, like what was your approach to your business model and like gaining clients, but not only gaining them, like gaining their trust? Because I feel like that's also a big part when you're working with somebody who's going on whatever fitness journey. Like they have to trust that you have their best interest and you have their goals in mind, and you're not just doing this for whatever exterior motive, whether it's for your own, personal gain, social media wise, whether you're trying to push this narrative or this agenda or whatever. Like, what was your approach to that?
I think I was kind of fortunate in that when the whole online coaching thing started, excuse me, I was already training people. So right. I was a personal trainer. I was like working in gyms, and I remember having a client that didn't live near me and sending them a program in an email and just not really thinking anything of it. Like, oh, I'm just sending, here's the things you need. Here's your diet, which at the time was very poorly written. And here's your training program, also very poorly written. Because basically back then I would just take the things that I was doing, and then I would just go, you do these things. And I thought that's what everybody needs. Like you need to be doing the stuff that I'm doing. I would give I remember giving like a 60-year-old woman an arm day. And I look back and I'm like, why does that lady need an arm day? But so I was fortunate that I already had clientele that I was meeting in person.
Right.
And so when the online coaching thing started, like when it became a term, I was like, oh, I guess I've kind of already been doing, like I've already been giving people.
You were a pioneer.
I don't even know if it was, I think it was just my generation of coaches. And there's Paul Revelia, Lane Norton. We were all just we didn't know that's what we were doing at the time. It didn't have a name. We were just like, I would like to get some clientele. I don't have the bandwidth to physically be with people all day.
Right.
Right. And so I'm kind of capped on, I can be in the gym 10 hours a day, 12 hours. I can do that. But what if I want more than 12 clients? Like, what do I do then? Right. Am I just capped at this many clients? Like, how do I work that out? It's like, okay, so if I can get some people online, they can do things on their own. That works.
Right.
And so because of that, I already had sort of built-in clientele from that. And so people kind of trusted it's, word of mouth, that it can often be like a much higher pull.
Right.
Like the retention rate, the turnover rate, like all those things just tend to work out a lot better if you have people like, I love this guy's a great coach. That seems because if somebody trusts this person, you're going to trust them too. Like, okay, yeah, this is my friend. He goes that, yeah, he got results from this person. I trust this. Perfect. I don't need to vet you at all. I don't need to go and like look.
The vetting process has already been done. Essentially.
Yeah, I don't need to go to your social media. I don't need to look at your website. Like whatever. Just take my money. Tell me what to do. So I was fortunate in that aspect. And then it got to the point where I felt like I just needed to know more information. It's like this whole evidence-based culture started to kind of spring up a little bit. And it came from me competing in bodybuilding was the big thing. It's like, I got exposed to competitive bodybuilding, and bodybuilders were already doing things in a very sort of scientific manner. And I just thought that was interesting. So I dove in real deep into that. And I was like, you know what? I've always liked this thing. Let me get a degree, and like let me try to get a formal education in this. Like, let me see what this is all about. And at the time, I was in the fire academy. I'd graduated from the fire academy, and
really done it all.
I was like, I don't necessarily know if I want to be a firefighter, but I do like being in school, and I do like training, and I do like learn about that. So I'll just stay in school. And so, in my brain at the time, I was like, a formal education is clearly going to be the thing that's going to drive business to me. I just thought that was the thing to do. So I'll just go to school, get these degrees. That's going to be the thing to do it. To kind of go back to your question, but that wasn't really the thing at all. Like, nobody really cared that I had a formal education because I already knew far more than they did. Yeah. You don't, and I'm not taking a shot or saying that people shouldn't get a college degree in exercise science or something like that. But I don't think people should get a degree in something like that with the expectation that that's going to be the thing that generates more revenue. Right. Because that wasn't the thing. Like, nobody's ever asked me, like, what are your degrees? They've never asked me. Like, most people don't ask me at all about anything. They don't ask me.
Well, I mean, that's also too, because like, even if you tell them like whatever certification you have or whatever, it just is going to sound like a bunch of letters to them anyways.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, all right. Cool. And then it's like, you could really just say, oh yeah, I got ABC certification. Be like, oh, checks out to me. Yeah. It's like, because most of them are just a bunch of letters. And ISSA, fucking NASM, all this other shit. It's just like,
not in nothing, there isn't anything new. Then that's what always gets me about all this infighting within fitness. It's like, nobody's said anything that's new. Like, nobody's come up with anything.
They're just rewording it.
You're just saying different shit. You're
repackaging the same shit.
Yeah, or you're saying things that people already knew that just didn't have a name. Like, you've just said something that we all knew, but now you've patent pended it and given it a name, and now this is your thing. Like, I once worked for a company who threw around this term methodology. And it was their methodology. And all it really was just some exercises in a sequence. And I'm like, no, anybody could have done. Like, you don't own that.
Right.
Anybody could have done that. But I think that what pulls more of a draw in the fitness space is almost definitely its results. Like, that's the big thing. And it's referrals, it's word of mouth. That's a thing that's going to generate more revenue. I would like to think. The tough part about what's going on with the whole social media sphere is that now what people do is, it's like you tell them that you're a coach or a personal trainer, and the very first thing they do is they go to social media. They want to see how many followers you have. Like, what are your what do you look like? Yeah. What are the people that you work with? What do they look like? What do you have to say? And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I also think that you can misrepresent yourself on social media.
I was just about to say that opens the door to people who know how to market themselves and don't really know much, but they're really good at marketing, or they can talk a good game, but they're just kind of like just regurgitating what they read on fucking whatever website
or on social media.
Right.
There's a lot of that going on. Yeah. Like, let me take this video that this person got a lot of likes and views. I'm just going to make the same exact video and then just put my face on it, and now I've got that information. Now nobody can tell who had the original idea.
It's crazy. Like, like you saying that, my mind automatically went to just like, that's how fucking powerful people have just been getting over on people for fucking ever. Like, there's like, oh, he did that. let me try that, but let me just say it and see how it goes. Oh, bet like they're believing. Like it really is like
Yeah.
people just want to believe some shit. Truly.
But I mean, that's why I think it's like you find someone who's an original thinker, and the people are just like, holy shit, like this guy is a genius. And it's like, yeah, he's a genius because he has an idea that's not everybody else's.
Either that or the people who are his constituents are like, you know, kind of like colleagues in a sense are like, oh, well, he's going against the grain. Like, we need to get his ass out of here because it's going to start making us look bad. And like, which, like, I guess I understand the thought process behind it, but it's also like, well, progression is inevitable. Like, yes, this might have worked for you, but if you just move with what's working, like, it's still going to work for you. Like, the money will still come, the success, whatever, but like, just don't be so rigid. But people, I mean, we talked about this a little bit last time. Like, people just get so set in on their ideas that once something new comes across and they're not the leader or the forefront of it or spearheading it, then they're like, oh, like, they get all beside themselves. But like you said, you can literally just go, oh, that what's working for that person is like, seems to be, you know, something new, something fresh, something that's actually works. Let me put my face on it and say the same shit. And I could become bigger than that guy because, again, I might be a better marketer of myself. I might, you know, people might gravitate towards me, and like those little things that people don't really take into consideration either, especially in fitness where like looks, charisma, you know, presentation is like the whole thing almost. How are you presenting it to me? Like, how are you presenting this, you know, yourself? Like, again, how do your legs look? Your chest is, you know, all this other things that go into it. And like, that's just why it's crazy. Like, just people just like,
it's just it's the strangest industry to be in, and that's probably why I've, you know, as I've gotten older, felt the need to not the need to step away. It's almost just like a natural regression where I just find myself less interested in that portion of it. Like I still love to train.
Yeah,
you know, I love, like, my wife will tell you, like, going to the gym, like that's my social time. Like I go to the gym, I go to work. My wife knows that if I don't go to the gym that day, I'm just like a caged animal. Like I'm just like, what the fuck? You know, I need to go to the gym, and I go to a gym with a bunch of other people that are the same exact way. It's a sort of a private gym.
Yeah.
You know, you see the same people every day. We all talk about the same thing. There's other competitors there. It's very, you know, everybody has that same sort of mindset, but that's like my social outlet. But the rest of it, it's like I have little interest in it, you know, because I've come to that, like you said, I've come to the conclusion that the majority of it is, how do you look? Like, how can you get someone to stop scrolling? And usually that is, how little clothing can I wear is the first thing that can get people to stop. And the funny thing is, it's like, as a man in that industry, it isn't women that are interested in the way I look. It's other dudes. So
there's
that's
always those memes that like what you think you're going to the gym for, and like it's a dude working out trying to get all the girls. What you're actually going to the gym for, and it's like, oh man, yeah, another set. Like, it's just a whole bunch.
It's other dudes. It's never. Women could care less about, or some of them do, but it's like a very small percentage, like a sliver of women are like, I want the dude that's ripped all the time. Yeah. So it's like, I always, and it's it's not a joke, but it's like one of the most important things about being in fitness is being an attractive woman, because women look at your content and men look at your content.
So you get both.
Yeah, you get both genders right off the bat. Yeah. You know, I've worked with you know, colleagues that were attractive women, and they would have, like, you know, you look at the demographics of who's viewing their content, and it would be like just this massively widespread from people all over the world. Where you, like, us as guys, we're like, who's looking at it? It's like dudes 18 to 35, and you're like, you know, that's what you get. So that's kind of like, you put yourself in this box because of the way social media and we as just human beings, the things that we're interested in. So it makes it difficult to get started. Passion will get you pretty far in this industry. The good thing about the industry is that the market of coaches and trainers is oversaturated. The amount of clientele that's still available is it's innumerable. Like there's just you cannot. There's everybody can eat. right
Right.
now. Even with the amount of oversaturation there is in coaches and trainers, everybody can eat. The
Right.
tough part is, can you get them in? Can you get people in the door? That's the
Yeah.
tough part. Because people, they don't want, you know, as human beings, we're built for comfort. We're not built for speed. Like,
Mhm.
we want to do the easiest thing we can possibly do.
Right. Passive least
Yeah.
resistance.
And the easiest thing we can do is just do nothing. Like, just
Right.
continue to do the thing we're doing. I'm not going to get off the couch. I'm not going to change the way that I eat. I'm not going to exercise at all. That's easy. To get somebody over that hump, that's tough. You know, and even people that are good at marketing, that, you know, have amazing Instagram accounts, it's still difficult for them to get people in the door.
Right.
But the industry itself is just, it's in a weird space, in my opinion. I don't know. At one time it was positive because there was so much good information out there, and now there's just too much information.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, it's getting to be too much. And like you said, because everybody's become so open about things, regardless of whether or not I think it's good or bad, it's like, you know, if somebody's, you know, if some dude is advertising his cycle on YouTube, and for some reason YouTube's like okay with, I don't know.
Right.
That shit's very strange to me.
It is, yeah. The guidelines on certain, like on TikTok to Instagram to YouTube, it's so like, it varies so much. Like, some of the stuff that you can't say or type, but then some of like the content that's on there is just like, which I know it's like the way that they get by it is, you know, what they write in the description space and all that.
The
so
disclaimer.
so then they can like kind of put whatever content they want, especially on Instagram. They put some wild shit on there, but like the description is like, you know, do you want to get a fucking, we're giving giveaway for a car or something along those lines. So I know I'm butchering it, but like, that's how the algorithm will not pick up whatever, you know, could be like, oh, maybe like you shouldn't be, you know, seeing this on it, like just so like readily available and shit like that.
Yeah.
It's weird. Yeah. That shit, because there's been shit that I've been flagged for, like, and I didn't even really think it was like, I didn't think it was like any misinformation or anything. It was during COVID time, and I said that the first round of vaccines, like whoever takes them, like you're guinea pigs. And that's just like, there was no clinical trials or anything. So like, it literally is, it was just that. And I almost like, it got a pretty decent amount of views before like they flagged it and took it down. But I was like, I've seen so much worse. I've seen people's heads getting blown off and fucking half naked women like that just have a string over their asshole and that like, and like, but this is what's getting flagged. Like, it's just the guidelines between social medias and different platforms is just, there's no like, there's no standard between all of them. It's kind of like, well, this is what we're gonna deem, you know, is okay and what's not okay, and you know what they do over there is not our concern. Like, I mean, fair enough, but
yeah, it's gotten interesting because it was like, you know, all these big media corporations are basically saying like, you know, we're gonna flag certain content because it's misinformation or it's disinformation. They have different misinformation, disinformation. They're all different terms they use, which is, that's funny.
But it kind of means the same thing.
Yeah, it does. It's weird. But I don't know if they've like copyrighted like, oh, this is the term that we use. But you know, especially during like, you know, 2020 like COVID times, and you know, that was just a very volatile situation in general because they knew that all of these all these platforms were probably getting the most amount of views they ever could because nobody could go to work.
Right.
So everybody's just sitting around scrolling, just, you know, and then we're like, okay, we got to sort of referee this whole thing.
I mean, yeah, but like part of me feels like, wouldn't you just want as much content on there as possible, like good or bad at that point? Like, and kind of, I don't know. I mean, like, just like with most things,
like
that
free speech.
I mean, that's one thing that I think is funny about social media. When people complain about like people commenting on their whatever it is, picture, their video, their take, their this, their that, it's like, well, nobody told you to post it. Like, whatever it is, whether it's for this or for that or for good or for bad or whatever it is, like, nobody told you to post it. This is called social media. So what did you expect? And like, you're getting mad because people are, you know, calling you this or saying that or disproving your point or arguing, and you're saying social media is toxic. It's like, well, if you're gonna post something that might be hot button or hot take or whatever, like expect that. If you don't want that, keep it to yourself. Maybe just tell your buddy. I don't know. But like you put that shit on social media, like you literally leave yourself vulnerable to that. And I never understood why people get so like, turn, I don't know, turn off your comment or whatever. Like there's so many ways that you could just avoid. I don't know.
Or just be like so resolute in the thing that you're posting, or just not care that much.
Or there's that, but
or just like post and just be like, I'm out. Like I don't care. You can say whatever you want. Doesn't bother me.
I just wanted to get this out in the universe. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, I post things on social media and I don't care what somebody says. There's rare instances, and usually the rare instances where it's become a problem, and it's only happened once or twice. It was a situation where like somebody knew where I lived.
Ooh.
Or knew places that I frequented. And said something where I was like, okay, this is a problem. Like this is, and that's only happened once. And there was a recent situation, but it wasn't, that person hadn't taken it there. They just said something that I would consider to be really high up on the list of things that could,
you gotta have to like,
like
be on alert.
This conversation is now steered somewhere else. Before we get to that point, let me just give you my personal disclaimer. Like, like if this goes beyond this, the complexity of this conversation has changed completely. But yeah, I think people just get real wrapped up in that social media, and I think that's what it's literally, as I get older, I find less interest. It's good. Okay. When social media first became as big as it is, like Facebook was purely, I remember when Facebook was before it was Facebook, and all it was a way for college students to communicate.
Right.
It's all it was. It was basically like AOL, but far better than that.
Yeah.
And then it became like a place where you would just communicate, and that was it. There was no advertisements. There was no, people weren't arguing about stuff. You post like pictures of your dogs and here's the food that I'm eating. And it was never this place to like argue about stuff. And that's when I enjoyed it, because it was,
it's like a watering hole essentially. Just like, hey, what's up?
Because nobody was like, I need everybody to hear my opinion about this. Like it wasn't that yet. And now I enjoy social media for that piece. Like now I'm like, oh, that's funny. Like, let me repost that. Like I might share 10 memes. One of those might be something about current events. The rest of it's just shit that I think's funny, because if I get too wrapped up in it again, it's just not a fun place to be. Like it's not a fun place to be where you're looking at your phone waiting for somebody to respond to something just so you can fucking clap back. Like that's just not, it's not enjoyable. It's like unnecessary stress for a reward that isn't gonna feel good. Like it doesn't feel good. You're like, I won. Did I win? Like it's just like it doesn't feel good. And most of those conversations wouldn't happen the way that they happen on social media if you're in person. Life, they just wouldn't. Like it wouldn't go to that place.
I'm sure like fucking 80-90% of it wouldn't happen. It would just be like, hey, watch where you're going. You bump into somebody like, hey, my bad, and that go from there. But
it's like an unnatural form of communication. Like you don't look somebody in the eye. You don't see their reaction to things. You can't see their body language,
voice inflections, none of that shit. So you're reading it as you would read it, as you're feeling. And that I mean, misinterpretation of text and things like that, which I mean, that's also something that it's been going on for thousands and thousands of years. And just how you interpret things is how you're feeling in the moment, what you've been going through, what stresses you're under in the moment, or if you're super happy, or all these different things that go into. I could read How Now Brown Cow, and if I read it 20 different times and then 20 different emotions, I'm gonna interpret that in 20 different fucking ways. Like so it's like it like all that shit really matters. And then with social media, the thing, well, it's gonna be there even if you delete it. Like it's there forever, so you can't really like. At least if you say something like out loud, which I know also people kind of think this, like once you say it, it's kind of out in the universe. But like if you say something face to face with somebody, like, oh shit, like you can kind of like, my bad, like, but over social media, like that shit's there. People read it how they read it, and then they're gonna feel how they feel about it, and then it just creates more of like, I feel like a distance between the resolution between you and that other person, because then like, well, I have to wait until the next time you see them to really like iron things out and talk about it, or maybe you just never see that person and then they take that out on somebody else, and like just the chain reaction that comes from that, from just little shit on like, again, that you could just fucking, oh, don't want to see that. Click. That's
Yeah.
it, and just fucking mosey on with your day. But
Yeah, it's changed the complexity of most industries. And fitness has probably been the one where it's changed the complexity for the worst, in some degrees,
Yeah.
just because it's flooding the market with too much information. It's giving people an unrealistic idea of how they should conduct themselves to be healthy or to be fit. Like it's giving people this idea. Like most of the people on social media, they don't have like a traditional full-time job. Like if your job is just to create content and that's it, and go to the gym, record content and that's it. No one, but most people don't live like that. Like that's, and they also, a lot of these people will give the impression that they're making a living doing this. And it's like, no, they've got 2 other jobs.
Right.
This is just they're giving you just like this small little bit of their day. And they're giving the impression that they're like this, they're doing well as this coach or personal trainer. And often that's just not the case. That's not what's really going on. In fitness, it just seems like it's the industry that's taken the worst of it. Like it's almost become its own worst enemy.
Yeah.
Other industries just don't. I mean,
well, I feel like too, just kind of by the nature of like the fitness industry and like just a lot of pageantry, and that falls right into with social media. So it kind of like it kind of felt inevitable that was going to happen. Like that's what you're doing. You're putting on a show on social media for people. Like that's what you do in bodybuilding. I mean, even in sports and athletics, in any type of fitness, like more times than not, the end result is going to be putting on a show or entertaining somebody because based off what you've been doing in the gym and based on what you've been doing, in your spare time or training and all that to get to this point. So it falls right in line with that. Something I did want to ask though, I feel like there's been a lot more, just in sports and stuff like that. There's been a lot more like injuries, a lot of Achilles tears, a lot of ACL tears, which with medicine, like and technology, people can come back from them a lot quicker. But it seems to be happening at like a higher rate. I don't know. This is just my like kind of, I don't know, theory on it. I have really nothing to base this off of, just as like how like what I feel about it. But I kind of feel like part of the issue is like, since there is so much information, just kind of the over analysis of certain things, and like I guess just overthinking something that's so simple, and like, just with the training that there is with athletes nowadays and like the sports science and, with getting things down to, every minute with the sleeping and the nutrition and all this, like, do you feel like that has kind of like lessened the resistance that your body has to just like every day, like just like nicks and bruises and things like that? And then it kind of like, just in turn, like tendons are going to be a little bit weaker, and just because there's so much coddling. And I feel like there was a line, like obviously back in the day, like people were fucking playing through broken arms, and like that's not a good way to have a long lasting career, especially in sports or whatever. But like then there was kind of like that middle ground where it felt like it was like the perfect threshold of like the sports science with like, well, this guy's just a baller and he has a different type of threshold of pain and can play through different types of things. And now it seems like it's just over analyzing, over like this person broke their fingernail, so they got to sit for 2 games because it's going to throw off the motion of their 3 on their shooting hand. And it just seems like kind of a paralysis by analysis type thing. I don't know if that has any fucking like weight to it or not, but it feels like just with the analytics and stuff now that it takes a lot of just like the kind of read and react type shit, and just kind of do things like go with your gut, don't fucking read into it too much. Like just do it and we'll figure it out.
I mean, I think about this a lot. I mean, because I'm a sports fan, I'm a fantasy football guy, I watch a lot of sports, and I feel like there has been, especially, I mean, Achilles tears. It just seems like there's like Achilles tears weren't I remember like when Kobe tore his Achilles.
Yeah.
And I think that was the first time I'd really heard about it in a high level athlete.
Right.
Like I think, and that was, I mean, Kobe's been dead for what, 10 years. It seems like it's been a while.
No, that was 2020. It's been 5.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So 2020.
Yeah.
But I mean, he had that Achilles tear, what?
2016, 2015,
Yeah.
2012, something like that. He retired in 2016, so I think it was like 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
But the thing is with him though, he was already like at the back end of his career then. So like, because I was talking about it with my brother, like as far as like, especially more so with ACLs, Achilles tendon tears are becoming more of a thing. So I think we're going to start seeing athletes and doctors and whatever adjust to it and make it to where it's not such a, which I already think we're on that path, like such a debilitating injury to where like, oh fuck, like this might take a whole year to recover. The first thing that when Adrian Peterson tore his ACL and then he came back the next season, that was kind of like the first step of like, oh shit, like ACL does not have to be a career-ending injury. It doesn't even have to be a year to recover, like 6 months. And
I mean, Patrick Mahomes, he tore his ACL and his MCL, and I think they said he could be back for week 1.
Right. So
would
like
be wild.
Right. I mean, not last year, but a couple years ago with Aaron Rodgers, which I didn't really think it was a thing because he was already old. But I mean, the fact that he was 5 months or like 4 months removed from Achilles surgery and he was on the field throwing, like
that's that ayahuasca. Though,
yeah, shit, it's something. He was fucking summoning the gods and going on those darkness retreats. But no, but like the fact that he was able to do that and like at least like attempt to come back from a week 1 Achilles tear to like week fucking 9 or 10 to attempt to play was like, oh, what the fuck? Like, how?
I mean, I think a lot of the injuries, when I think, and usually it's like, I mean, look at like the 49ers. I'm like, so when I look at an organization like the 49ers, who's just been riddled with injuries for multiple seasons in a row, the very first thing I think of is like, who is the strength and conditioning coach? Like, who's that? Right. And what are they doing? Like, what's happening in the off season? It'd be a lot different if it were an injury here and there, but to have sort of this unilateral where like we start with a full roster of players and then by mid-season, everybody's gone. Right. And then we come back towards the end of the season and everybody's healthy again. Like that seems like something's wrong with either the strength, like when I look at it, it's either the programming is just bad and whoever is creating these programs, it's either their heels are dug in so hard with what they do. They're like, this is the only way this works. Like there's no way out. And these guys are getting injured because they're doing something outside of this organization that's causing these injuries. So I think it's either that. Footwear has been brought up a lot of times. Surfaces have been brought up.
I was about to with that. And I mean, I played football on a small level. I always preferred playing on grass over turf.
Yeah, because it's soft. You know? And most turf is just concrete.
Right.
Underneath.
And they put like those little like rubber pellets to kind of stuff, but like they don't do shit. Yeah. It just gets everywhere. Yeah, like, you're pulling fucking rubber pellets out of your ass after the game. It's like that shit don't do anything. Like at least the ground, it feels hard, but like when you get up, you'll see a dent from where you landed or whatever. Like there's give to it. So like that definitely, that makes a difference.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a surface thing. In the NBA, I think it's a footwear thing. I think a lot of low top, like if you just looked at the data, purely the data, you would see less high tops, more low tops.
Yeah, and that's funny because I was playing basketball. That's how I got my injury, fellas, people, whoever's looking. But they were talking about that like a couple weeks ago. It's like, yeah, it's hard to find high top basketball shoes. Like everything's low top. And, kind of falls in line with the NBA that they're kind of more of a look at me type of league. Like obviously the athletes are great. Like I feel like throughout sports, like athletics, performance, the standard of what a professional athlete is and what you have to be year round is probably the best that it's ever been. But, especially in the NBA, it is a lot of, how can I look good doing this? Not necessarily function, but like style and look at me. And, you see people with different off-colored shoes and doing all this. And, again, that's cool. But, hey, I'd rather just give me something that's going to function for me. If it looks good, great. Or I can find something that can look decent. But, like, at the end of the day, like, who's really looking at your shoes like that? Like, most people are not within fucking 100 feet of you to even really see the details on them anyway. So like,
Yeah.
especially when you're playing, like if you know, when they do the little fucking, you know, fashion shows before the games where they're just walking in all dressed up, that's cool, whatever. But like during the game, you would think like function over fucking fashion, but I guess, you know, that's
Yeah. So it's either
maybe not.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I mean a lot of that, I mean that's also, you know, you get these big shoe companies that want to sell shoes and they realize like, okay, everybody isn't going to want to wear a high top. So if we can get this guy to wear a low top, maybe we can sell this to just
Right.
regular people. Sneakerheads will buy low top sneakers before they buy high tops,
Right.
you know. Or the thing that I think it's all of these things to some degree, but I also just think athletes have gotten so big and so strong that your soft tissues don't
Right.
adapt in the same way your muscles do. There's a good amount of lag between your leg gets stronger and then like your joints of your knees and your ankles get stronger. Like there's a good amount of lag, and the ceiling of how the integrity of your soft tissue kind of hits a ceiling. It's like, this is as tough as this is going to get.
Right.
That's it. It does the one thing. That's it. You know, so I think it's some of that. I think especially basketball is a weird one because it's almost like, not to bash modern basketball, but it's almost like it's gotten a little bit less dynamic because there is a little bit less defensive play.
Right.
So the lane is open more. The things that you have to do to get an open shot have changed because people aren't, you know, nobody's playing defense like they did. And maybe I'm just biased because that's when, you know, I was coming up and it just seemed like at the time there was more defense. It seemed like even the refs would allow players to play more, where now they call a foul for a lot of things that are kind of ticky-tack,
Yeah.
you know, or would have been considered kind of ticky-tack back then. So I think players are getting so big and the way they're moving is probably contributing to a lot of these issues.
Right.
Like you can't, you know, running back, like football players are just bigger and they're faster. You know, offensive linemen have somehow gotten smaller, but they're faster.
And I mean, and stronger even.
Yeah.
They don't weigh as much, but I mean, just again with the weight programs and stuff. But that does make sense as far as like, you know, your body can only take so much. The first person that came to mind when you said that was Bo Jackson. And then also Zion Williamson. That, you know, he had that whole thing at Duke where he fucking blew out his shoe and all that. But he's been someone that since he's gotten in the league has, you know, he has all this talent, all this athleticism, very explosive in such a, you know, relatively compact body for his explosiveness. But, you know, injuries, you know, not staying out of shape and things like that kind of contribute. But like also like, how long can you really keep up that type of output before your body's just like, yeah, like that's too much. You have too much athleticism for the body that you're in right now.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, it's just like with anything else. Like, you know, back to the Achilles, like it's just like stretching a rubber band. At some point, like if you're doing too much and you're not prepping enough or doing, you know, training enough or recovering enough, that shit's gonna fucking snap.
Yeah, and I mean these guys have access to. I mean my previous employer, we worked with a lot of, you know, professional athletes, and I know they have access to all sorts of recovery modalities.
Right.
You know, so they're doing, I think a lot of them are doing a lot of the right things. I mean, if you have enough money, you don't have to worry about like, I got to go get a massage. You're like, the massage person is just going to come to my house.
Right.
Like, I remember watching this video and it was Debo. And he just, you know, he would go to practice. He'd come home. The masseuse would come to his house. He'd lay there. The masseuse would get a massage like in his living room.
Yeah.
They would leave. You know, he had his own chef. Like you have people that are taking care of you. So it's not, you know, so it's not, I think they're doing a lot of the right things. I just think they've gotten so big and so fast.
Especially in the contact sports where it's like, you know, that UFC, I think I was listening to Joe Rogan talk about it, but it's like, you know, you're getting like 145, 155 pound guys that will fucking knock your fucking lights out. So imagine the 185, the 205 guys that are hitting each other. Like you're getting hit harder. People are hitting harder than they've ever hit before. So like, and again, your body can only take so much. So you can train yourself, but like your jaw can only take so much force before it fucking breaks. Or like you can only take so many leg kicks before your fucking shin snaps in half and shit like that. And like, you know, the like you said, the stronger that people get, the more force that they're coming with, the less amount of times it's gonna take to break a bone or tear something or things like that. And like it kind of, it seems like we're at a breaking point or at a threshold with a lot of things right now, like just in general, like with sports, with injuries, with social media, with the influence on things, how fast and how readily available information is, all these things that it's just like, it really does feel like it's at like a point of like, all right, well, which way is it gonna go? Like,
I mean,
how
it's
are
only
things
gonna
gonna
go. I mean, now,
like, how
it's
do
like
you
with AI, it's only gonna get progress. It might get better, maybe, because now people would have access to. The tricky thing with AI is not thinking about anything. AI is just collecting information that's already existing. So it could collect the wrong information and give it to you, and just injuries could just continue.
right?
But I think as it gets better, we should be better at diagnosing things and changing programs to adapt correctly. Hypothetically, that's how it should work.
Right. But what is and what should be, I've learned, are two different things.
Yeah, they're two different things, and then it's like, I mean, you're an athlete, and it's like you go and you're like, "Man, my knee feels a little weird. I should probably get it checked out. I'm just going to go out and play." Because, I look at Patrick Mahomes, tears his ACL, tears his MCL. It was a non-contact injury. He's just running.
Right.
That's it. But he'd been running all season. He'd been shown limping off the field.
Yeah.
He'd been shown getting off the field and immediately icing his knee.
Yeah.
So the knee was already banged up. Like, it's already an issue that probably should have been handled, or maybe it was being handled. But it's like,
again, there's only so much you could do. Like, things are just, they have a shelf life on them.
Yeah.
And that goes for the fucking cereal in your cabinet and the joint in your elbow. Like, things have a shelf life. Yeah.
It's literally it's mileage. The more you do things, the more you, especially if it's the same motion over and over and over again. And granted, running isn't, even though you would like it to be repeatable every single time, especially when you're running dynamically like that, it's different. Like,
cutting and explosiveness.
It's little things you don't even think about. Like, you go to run and look like Patrick. It looks like he was running, and it looked like he was trying to like he was in the process of possibly defending himself as he was running out of bounds. He kind of looked over a little bit because somebody was coming towards him and knocked him out of bounds. So he's probably like guarding himself, bracing himself a little bit. He'd switched hands with the ball to get it closer to the sideline. So if he fumbled, it would go out of him.
Yep.
So it's changing the way he's moving, on top of just having a knee that was probably already going through some level of therapy for who knows how. It might have been all season. It might have happened week 2.
I mean, you also have to take, which a lot of people don't, and that's also something that, like, why LeBron James to me is like something else, is that they went on playoff runs to the Super Bowl. Like, that's what they've been doing for the past 5 years. And
it's
those
the first year they said it's the first year that somebody named Manning, Brady, or Mahomes were not in the Super Bowl. Like, a number that didn't make sense.
Crazy, like 17, 20 years,
like
some shit like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, that shit adds up. Like, in the NFL, like, it's, in basketball, obviously it's not as much of a contact sport, but like, if you add up all the extra, like, just playoff games that LeBron played, it adds like another 5 seasons. So, I mean, do the same thing with Patrick Mahomes. And only on top of that, like, he's getting fucking hit by 200, 350 pound people that are like coming to knock your head off. Like, that shit adds up. So, like, those kind of things, again, they're just inevitable and it is bound to happen. But because Michael Parsons, the same day, fucking non-contact tore his ACL too. And it's like, these are high level athletes, like elite athletes. Like, some of these things, like, you can't, it doesn't matter how much precaution you take. Like, it's going to happen. It gets everybody at some point if you do it long enough.
And that's why that's why they make so much money. Because it's like, that's a risk they're willing to take. It's like, if you're not getting paid, you're not like, I'd love to tear my ACL. Like, I'm not making money. Like, I'm making $45,000 a year, tore my ACL. For this thing that I do for a living. Like, it doesn't make sense. I mean, they make all that money because they're willing to take that risk, and they're gifted. So, I mean, they're already moving in ways that most people don't move. They're already bigger and faster than the vast majority of human beings. So they're already kind of doing, but their joints and soft tissues are the same as everybody else's.
Right.
Like, their body is the same. Like, it's made of the same stuff. It's just the way they're able to move it around. The amount of muscle they have is more.
Right.
But they're also being run into But
by somebody else that's just as fucking strong and fast, and
just as strong as like at full speed. They're not like, oh, I'm not going to hit you that hard this time. Like they're trying to, especially as a quarterback. You're
pretty defensive.
Defensive players are trying to knock you out of the game because they know that, like, okay, this guy gives them the best. There's only but so many NFL quarterbacks that are decent.
Even like if you take the 32 starting quarterbacks, out of those 32, there's really like 8 that are like
And so if you go to second string, if the whole NFL went to second string, nobody would watch that shit. Like nobody or it would just change the game so much that you're like, okay, this is the new football. Like we're playing with backups.
But that's why they fucking took away a lot of the defensive rules to let those quarterbacks shine, and that's what they saw was bringing eyes and putting asses in seats, was letting guys like Josh Allen score 6 touchdowns for his team, or letting guys like Patrick Mahomes do no-look passes to the other side. Like, that shit's pretty fucking cool. Like,
The only thing I will say, though, like the big, and I always have issues with the NFL because I'm, again, sports fan, but it's like, why can't they celebrate? Like, why can't you, like, as an athlete, and it might sound wrong, but I'm like, that was one of my, like, some of the most fun moments I had was, like, scoring and then, like, talking shit.
Yeah.
Like, now these guys, like, oh, you just have to walk off the field quietly with your hands, like, down to your sides.
I think in the beginning, was it this year or last year, where in the beginning they were throwing, like, insane flags for taunting, like, where it was, like, where was it at?
A bunch of it this year where they're like, oh, a flag. I'm like, all that guy did was just like jaw at the other guy. Like he turned around and said something, like he's taunting him.
And it's like, you kind of have to, that's baked in. Like, what do you expect? Like people talk shit and fucking pick a ball. What do you expect on fucking national fucking TV where it's fucking 20,000, 40,000 people in a fucking stadium? Like,
it's like, are you protecting that guy's feelings? Are you worried about his feelings got hurt? Because
if that's what he's worried about, maybe he's in the wrong profession. Because it's like, damn, like, I don't know, tighten up, toughen up a little bit. But yeah, this I don't know. We're wrapping up the NFL season. And it's pretty wide. I think this feels like the most wide open it's been in a long time.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of teams that you don't expect.
I feel like everybody can beat everybody on like that any given Sunday. Like, I know that's the thing, but it really does feel like that this year.
What is it, like the NFC? It's like the 6th seed could have 13 wins. Some crazy where you're like, what? It's because the NFC is just
loaded,
really competitive right now.
I feel like as far as like just complete rosters, they have the best rosters. The AFC has better like quarterback talents, but they're working with. I mean, you look at Joe Burrow, that team fucking garbage. Fucking, you look at Patrick Mahomes this year. Who is he really throwing to? People were waiting for Rashid Rice to get back, and it didn't really do much. Travis Kelce looks old and he's ready to retire. The Bills, it's a one-man team. James Cook, he does his thing, but like not consistently enough to where, again, Josh Allen needs to score like 4 or 5 touchdowns a game, it seems, to really keep them competitive. I mean, and that being said, they just beat the fucking Patriots, who seemed like they were the team that was running. Yeah, they seemed like the team that was running away with, really separating themselves. Because I know the Broncos are good too, but I know a lot of people are on the fence with Bo Nix, and he had a very bad stretch in the middle of the season. But I mean, it really doesn't feel like there's an elite dominant team this year. Like last year there was the Eagles and the Chiefs, and that kind of felt inevitable. The year before, the Chiefs were, running it and doing their thing. But, you had the Lions last year that were also kind of like, they felt like they were last year and the year before, they felt like they were kind of like right there, like they were going to make some noise and shit like that. So, you kind of always had like at least like 2 or 3 teams that feel like they are separating themselves from everybody else. But this year really doesn't seem like there's a lot of space or gap between number 1 to number 10, it feels.
Yeah, I think the one team that nobody's probably paying attention to, again, because they're hurt all the time, is the 49. Like they're creeping up because now everybody's getting healthy, and you're like, oh, I forgot.
Right.
That they had a team. I forgot that Christian McCaffrey, who I feel like I think Christian McCaffrey's probably like siphoning in energy from everybody else on the team because he stays healthy this year, and everybody else.
But they've been giving him the ball like it's
This guy's
nobody's
getting like
business.
30, 40 touches a
For
game.
real, it's crazy. And he's just like, all right, give me more. Feed
That
me
guy's
more.
the epitome of, if you treat your body right, your body will treat you right. Like and granted, he's also, I mean, he grew up, I mean, he's Ed McCaffrey's kid. So it's like there's no shortage of funds there. But he did an interview where he said his parents were so strict that they didn't have cell phones, which I agree with. Like, I think they didn't have cell phones till like 16. I think he said their bedtime was 7:30 until they were like 13 years old.
Yeah.
They had no.
Damn, so some days the sun's, well, I guess if they grew up in Colorado, then maybe it's different over there as far as when the sun's coming up and down.
But it was like there was no junk food in the house. They weren't allowed to have they just have always lived this life of like where you take care of your
there's
body.
something to be said about that. Sometimes, I mean, you would think that most times that's good. You know, people need structure and things like that. But then you always have those cases that like you try to give too much structure to somebody that needs a little bit more wiggle room, and then they fucking end up doing drugs and fucking being a prostitute or whatever the fuck, rebelling against their parents because like you didn't let me do anything. But like I do think there's something to be said about like, you know, having structure, giving your kids structure. Like, yes, let them be a kid, but like, nah, this is how we're gonna do shit. Especially if your dad's a fucking NFL receiver. Like, there's got to be like he did something right. So like,
yeah. I mean, people will say like, oh, you know, your level of fitness is genetic, or obesity or adiposity, it's genetic. You know, my parents are obese. Therefore I'm obese. And it's like, well, that's not
lies.
That's not how genes.
It can work that well, but it's not like the general of how it works.
We've all got a bunch of genes from our parents that have to be unlocked by something.
Right.
Like you might have the propensity to be obese, but everything works the same. Right. You still have to give your body a bunch of calories in order to become obese.
Right.
So it's mostly behavioral. Like a lot of it is, my parents are obese. They've passed on poor eating habits to me, and now I'm obese. And then I do the same thing with my children. And I'm probably going to marry somebody that's obese because now we have this thing in common where we overeat.
Yeah.
Then we have children. Then we just keep kind of passing this gene on over and over and over again. You know, so I think structure, especially when it comes to nutrition, kind of to bring it back to the whole fitness piece. I feel like that's
the most
important. Children, especially, like that's the big thing. It's tough. I mean, I'll say that as a parent. I mean, I remember before having a kid, I was like, my kid is never going to be the one that just survives off macaroni and cheese and chicken nuggets, because that's ridiculous. And then you get to a point as a parent where you're like, I'm so tired. You know, I have to work. I've got to take care of this kid. I got to, you know, try to make sure that my marriage is in line. Let's just give them some chicken nuggets.
Now they're fighting me because they don't want to eat their fucking broccoli and shit. It's like, fuck it.
Just give the guy chicken
He'll
nuggets.
live.
Yeah, like, it's fine. It's fine. So it's kind of tough to manage that. You know, but I'm sure in Christian McCaffrey's case, and most kids' cases, like they follow whatever their parents are doing.
Right. So, I mean, especially if you have a good, I don't want to say a good hold, but a good influence and like are showing that you're doing the same type of things. Like you're not just kind of do as I say, not as I do type thing.
Yeah. Because
it's like at a certain point, I mean, again, you said your kid's 7. He's already like, you're trying to, I don't know if he's going to see this or not, but the whole Santa Claus thing. So it's like, you know, they start asking the right questions, even at a young age. So like if you start, you know, well, you do this and you do that, but mom, but dad, I see you doing this and you're telling me not to do it. Like you kind of start like your word kind of starts losing value. And at that age, you kind of will, most times you might just kind of like shut up and do it. You don't want to get in trouble. You don't want to get grounded or whatever. But like at a certain point, it's like, what the fuck? Like, you've been telling me to do this whole time and you haven't been doing it. Like, why the fuck? Like, why should I do that? Like, why don't you follow your own advice if it's so good and shit like that? Like, and people kind of fall into that trap. So, yeah, I feel like there's, again, like, you have to, again, provide the structure and you know, do that, but also like do it, be about it. Really just like, all right, I'm not gonna, because one of my favorite things that one of my coaches, my defensive coordinator, he told us he would put us through fucking brutal conditioning drills. He's like, I'm not going to do anything that I haven't already done myself, or make you do anything that I haven't already done myself. So I know what you're going through. I know how you're feeling, but then I know how to motivate you. I know how to, what's going to, when to push the gas a little bit and when to let off a little bit. Because if you're just telling somebody to do something with no type of experience behind it, it makes it harder to relay that message to you, why you should be doing this.
Yeah. I think especially with children, the big thing is, you want to instill in your child hard work. If you work hard for something, you can, the world's kind of your oyster. You just have to work hard. That's right. It. Which is tough because your kids don't see you like go to work. They don't see what you're doing at work.
Right.
Typically.
They just see you leave.
Yeah. I mean, my son does, because, he goes to school with my wife, but he doesn't understand that that's hard work for her.
Right.
Like he just sees like, oh, mommy's teaching. Like, how hard can that be? Like he doesn't, it's not a big deal. Like,
yeah.
well, okay, you're teaching. He doesn't understand that. So that's always a tough thing to instill in children. It's like, how do I get and that's something I go back and forth about. Like, how do I instill in my son that he needs to work hard? I take him to the gym with me. He sits behind me. Some nights he'll just be there. Yeah. He's just behind me because he's around. He's seeing a bunch of other people working hard towards a goal. He sees me working hard towards a goal. But it can be tough to kind of manage that stuff. But yeah, kids need some form of structure. But the most important thing, like you said, it's like it can't just be me telling you to do some things, then I'm not doing those things. Like it can't be, this is the way we should eat. And he's like, well, but you're eating ice cream for dinner. And you're like, oh, well, you do it. But I don't really care. Like you're, and I think that's, especially from my generation, there was a lot of that from parents like, just do it. Like,
yeah, that's what that's what my mom would tell me. She's like, do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's dumb. The fuck? Like,
how do I know this is gonna work out for me?
Well, like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Like, but I mean, it's not like it's not like she was telling me to do anything bad, but there was just certain things, like she smoked cigarettes.
Yeah.
And I've always, for the longest time, like, stop. Like, why are you doing that? Like, smoke something else.
Yeah.
Or I don't know, but like, if there's one thing that I would ask for you, if anything in this world, just stop smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
But that was one thing that she would, do as I say, not as I do. I'm like, all right, well, that's fair enough. But like, you don't do that now. Cause like we know that this is going to be a bad thing in the long run. And it doesn't really it has no positive effects really. So like, why still do it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, kids are watching you when you don't notice it. Like they're watching things.
They're always watching you.
They're always
like
watching
Big Brother. They just got their eyes on you all the fucking time.
They want to see how you react to things. They want to, and it's, you have a kid, and your kid, granted, they are half you and then half your partner.
Yeah.
But they're their own person. Right. So they're a little bit of each of you, but they're also their own person. But a lot of their behaviors, they're learning from you. They're watching things that you do. My kid's like real fiery. He's like, and he gets that from his mom. Like his mom's real fiery, and he gets that from her. But in that same vein, and some of it's also like who he's with at the time. Right. So if he's just with her, he comes home and he's just, the two of them are just like back and forth. But if he's with me all day, we're just chilling. We're just hanging out. And it's not as energetic as an environment as it is with my wife. Yeah. But there's times where I look at him like, oh, he's got his own thing. But we keep him pretty structured. Saturday morning he does chores. He doesn't get a lot of screen time. If he gets screen time, because he's done his chores or he's had a good day at school, or it's never just do these things.
How did you deal with like temper tantrums and like
poorly?
I don't think. Like, was it like, I'm sure there was like a phase where he was just like giving you fucking just hell for everything. Like how is dealing with that?
I mean,
I guess how do you like, is there like
it's one of those deals where it's, you can read all the books, you can try to gather as much information you can from the internet and try to apply it, but it's like you're learning on the job. You're picking up things as you become a parent. And he would have temper tantrums. People always say it's like the terrible twos. With him, it wasn't two. He was still like a sweet little baby almost. there was something about 3 where he just, it was like overnight too. We were like, Jesus, like,
who are you, little
what is-
monster?
Like, what is happening? He would just freak out and he's like yelling and like just like guttural crying. We were like, is he okay? Like, is he going to have a heart attack? Like, what is wrong with him?
Possessed.
Yeah. And, you know, what worked, at least I thought, you know, again, my wife and I are 2 very different people, which I think is kind of what makes it work. She's like very type A. I'm not type A to that degree.
Yeah.
She is real quick with reacting to things. I tend to not be that way. And for me, it was a lot of like, I would just let him have the temper tantrum. Like I would, you know, he would start it and I would just like leave the room and go somewhere and go somewhere else.
It's just like,
you know,
you could like come back to me when you're all good.
Yeah. And I would tell him like, yeah, you can go ahead, man. Like get all that out. You know, when you're done with whatever's happening right now, you can come talk to me, but I'm not gonna engage in this situation.
Which, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, I feel like I do that with people now. Like
it's the same way that I would react to like an adult. Like an adult, if they're irate with me, I would just go, all right, like you can just do that over there.
Right.
Whenever you're done with whatever that is, let's talk. We can have a conversation. But and I tell him now, still to this day, where I say, you know, he gets upset and he'll do the thing where he like starts to raise his 7-year-old voice. And I just look at him and I say, listen, man, I know you're upset, but understand this. Nothing has ever been solved by someone yelling at somebody else. Like you're never going to yell somebody into submission, and you might yell at them and they do the thing that you want them to do, but they're not going to be happy about it. And it's probably going to come back to you at some point in time.
Right.
So yelling does nothing. As soon as you start yelling, your brain is now turned off. You're just reacting to things. You're not thinking about a solution in a reasonable manner. You know, and he'll kind of like tone himself down a little bit. So he hasn't had like a temper tantrum like that.
Damn. So, and it's wild. Like you don't really think about it, but like 7 years old, like they really just start having the wherewithal to really like think about shit like that.
Yeah. I mean, he's, you know, a smart kid. But yeah, 7 years old is like, we're in that transition between, are you a baby or are you a kid? Like where, you know, there's moments where he'll be
a
like,
big kid now.
Yeah. There's moments where I'm like, come on, man. Like, don't do that. Like, you're 7. And there's times where I'm like, man, that's like, he responded like he was 25 years old.
I just figured that shit out yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, but a lot of that is, it's like structure. It's like figuring out, like trying to, and there's certain behaviors that I do and I catch myself doing it now and I see him doing it. And there's little things like I don't react to very many things, but my wife and I have been together for so long where like she might say something, I might just be like, yeah. And then I look over and he's looking at me and I'm like, oh shit.
He's gonna roll his eyes now.
And then like I'll be on the other side of the house and she's like, don't roll your eyes at me. And I'm like, oh shit. And I want to be like, I'm sorry, man. Like that's my fault.
Set you up for failure on that one.
But it's that structure bit. It's like giving him guardrails, you know, it's, you know.
Damn, I feel like having a kid is like a fucking like having a school pet or like
it's
like,
the wildest ride on the planet. It's the wildest ride. And people say like, you should get a dog first because it's kind of like having it's nothing like having a child. It's nothing at all. The only thing that makes it like having a child is like because you have to be responsible for something. Like you can't, you know, we have a dog at home. We can't just be like, all right, man, we'll be back in a couple of weeks. Figure this feeding yourself and go to the bathroom thing. You're on your own. You know, that's about the only similarity between the two. You know, it's different. It's just a wild ride. Your life changes like that immediately. The way you make decisions, the things you think about, it all changes like overnight. It's just it's something. There's a time in my life where I thought everybody should have children. And now that I have a child, I'm like, I don't think everybody should have children. Like, damn. I don't think everybody.
You're better than me. I've never thought that. I think too many people have kids that shouldn't be. It's like, yeesh.
But I'm in that same vein. I'm sure people look at me sometimes and like, that guy should not have a child, you know, but it's the most rewarding thing you can do.
Haters though.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, I think that the funny thing about kids and parents is that you live through your child. So it's like if your child, there's like times where my sons come home and he's like, oh, this kid said something about me. And I'm like, what? Like,
Yeah.
you me like, what? And I'm like, real defensive when it comes to my kid. We're like,
I mean, naturally, yeah.
Yeah, we're like the teacher says something. I'm like, what the, like, or she gives him a grade. I can distinctly think about a situation where he had some math homework and the instructions were real clear. And he answered the question in a way that I would have answered it. And then she said that it was wrong. And then I sent her an email and I was like, this is what the question says. And this is how he answered it. He answered it correctly. But he just didn't answer it in the same way as like a 7-year-old probably should. Yeah. And it's because I often tell him like, think about things. Like, don't just read things and immediately just think about what it says. Like, because I think that's a skill that most people don't have. Like they lack the ability to think about things in a way that's outside of their box or outside of the box, and I've tried to teach him that. So he was answering the question in the way that I would have answered it, because in my head, I'm like, there's something behind this question. He did it. And then she marked him wrong. And I was like, did you think about this?
Do you think like, I guess being able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes or seeing from somewhere else's perspective, do you think that's something that's more like innate and just kind of like built into somebody? Or do you think that's more of like a skill that someone learns, or like, you can kind of like you said, kind of like give them the skill set and give them the tools to like learn that and figure that out?
I mean, it's so like sociopathy, someone is a sociopath because they don't, it's like it is just an innate human condition to like feel what other people are going through and kind of sense that and like have emotion. Like that's part of emotion. Like, oh man, that guy's going through something like that hurts me in a way, like that person. And it's always going to be varying degrees. Some people feel more of that than others. Some people, they like see somebody struggle and they're like, oh man, that sucks. And they just kind of move on with their day. Some people like see somebody struggle and that sticks with them for the entire day, or maybe a week. They continue to think about those things. And that's why there's people who, donate a lot of their time and like spend time in homeless shelters. Those are those people that like see someone struggle and they that sticks with them. They're like, I have to help these people. To some degree, I think I do, like we try to teach him how to respond to those things. I mean, we've talked about it before. It's like kids, it's like you don't want to spoil your kid, but you do it almost innately.
Right.
You like spoil your kid, you know? And so it can be hard, trying to explain to him things like, hey buddy, there's people that don't have things. And he's like, where? Like, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have things and all the people that we know have things. Yeah. So where are these people that don't have, like the whole, like, oh, there's kids in Africa that don't have food to eat. Like, he's like, where are those kids? Like, I've never seen those kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like, that part can be tough to get a child to understand that, like, you're fortunate. Like, you have a lot of things. And I tell them all the time, I'm like, when I was a kid, I didn't have food. Like, there was no food just around. There's no like snacks. You're like, I'd be looking in the cabin or something, like, oh, it's like baked beans, baked green, like that's all we have. Like a can of soup. Like there wasn't all this food, but that's tough for him to understand because so we try to explain those things. Like that's just been a continuous struggle. Yeah.
Well, I feel like there's always that line like of like, I want my kid to have more than what I have, but like I don't want to like spoil them and baby them and enable them. Like I feel like that's always, especially with people that that came up that didn't grow up with much and things like that. There's always that fine line of like, I still want them to have that grittiness and like understand that life can be difficult and things can be hard and things, but like if I have the capability to give them more than what I have, like, duh, that's my kid. I want to do that shit. But like, again, then you don't want to overdo it because then they just think that's what life is and that's how things should be. And well, not how they should be, how things are. And it's like, well, they are this way because of A, B, and C things, but like there's still the chance that they won't be like that if A, B, and C things happen as well. So like, there's that fine line of like not wanting to give too much, but not not, I don't know, making them feel like they don't deserve shit and like we're gonna make you fucking be gritty and shit like that because of how you grew up or how however the individual grew up.
Yeah, I mean that's tough. I mean, I didn't grow up with much, and so it's hard for me to not give him everything because I don't want him. I don't want him to grow up the same way that I did. I don't want him to struggle the same way that I did. But then I also don't want him to be spoiled because it's a real tough line to kind of explain that. You're fortunate because you have these things, but I also want you to understand that you need to work hard for things. It's a very difficult line to kind of, or difficult balance to have. We struggle with it a lot. It's the other day, my wife gets season passes, or he gets season passes to SeaWorld. It's like a teacher benefit of some sort.
Right.
And he's been to SeaWorld so many times that like he goes there and he's like,
cool.
Yeah, all right, cool, SeaWorld. So I took him one day and we were walking around. I just remember I was like, oh, what's going on, buddy? What's going on, buddy? He's like, I'm not having that much fun. And then I remember looking at him, I was like, do you know that the first time I came to SeaWorld was with you? Like, what I'm saying? Like, and you were like 5 years old. Like, it's like, he just doesn't. And he kind of looked at me like, what? And I'm like, yeah, like, this isn't a normal thing. People aren't just going to SeaWorld all the time. This is not a normal occurrence. So it's
fucking SeaWorld.
And he's just like,
that's so funny.
He's like, what do you mean people aren't just going to SeaWorld? And I mean, I guess, well, when he gets older, I'll probably explain more about my childhood, my struggles growing up.
Right.
Or even my struggles as like, an older teen and a young man.
Right.
Some of that stuff he's probably not mature enough to talk about. But
well, I feel like some of those just kind of come with age. Like as the experience comes and they go through their own, like the questions will start coming, and then things just kind of start aligning. It's like, oh well, back when I was your age. Like,
yeah. It's a tough line. I mean, again, parenting's fucking hard. Like it is not. It's not easy. But the reward is immense. Like I always think about like, what's he gonna be? Like, what kind of man is he gonna be? Like, what? And
thinking about that shit is probably like, because it could, I mean, it's just so crazy. Like it could just go in so many different ways. And like for me, at least, like I grew up with two sisters, and we all grew up in the same household, and it's like just to see, not even just the past, just like our different personalities, like just how, like from my older sister to me to my younger sister, it's like there's similarities there, but man, like the differences are like very much like y'all grew up together, huh? Like, and it's not like anything bad, one's worse than the other. It's just like, wow, like just the dynamic and how the same experience can affect three different people in three different ways. Kind of how, like I was saying before, but like as far as perspective and how you see something one way one day, and then the next day you'll see the same thing, and it's just a completely different. You see it completely differently, and it's it goes. Same goes for growing up in the same household and things like that. You can have somebody that they have a sibling, both of you didn't grow up with much. One of them goes on to be highly successful in something, and the other one's kind of like mooching off the one that's successful. It's like y'all grew up in the same house and like were afforded the same opportunities, whether it was a lot or a little, but like it really goes to show how much it varies from person to person, and how you take things in, and not only take things in, but then how you put it back into the world is going to affect the next step, how you grow up, what you're going to be, the decisions you're going to make, everything that goes into just being a person. And then seeing that from like, just like little thing that you made to now, like, it's 7 years, but then you have a whole, there's a whole lifetime ahead of it.
Yeah. I mean, I think what you said was interesting because there's an example that I use. I guess there's two different examples that I use sometimes where people talk about, child rearing or two people who are related. And, my sister and I, we have two different mothers. She stayed in Baltimore in the inner city. She's from the inner city, and she stayed in Baltimore. I moved here to Florida, and my sister has done nothing but excel. Like she went to like shitty schools her entire life. She went to an HBCU, but has done very well without, didn't have much support from her mother. Her mother she's like barely literate. But she's done very well. So people can come up from nothing at all. Where me, on the other hand, it's like I wasn't in a great spot, but in a better spot than my sister.
Right.
You know, where like I decided very early on in my 20s, like, I'm gonna fuck this whole thing up. Like, let me just burn let me burn this whole situation to the ground so I can start from scratch. Where she was like, no, I'm gonna get out of this situation.
Yeah.
Where I was almost like, let me put myself into your situation and then try to come back out of it. You know what I'm saying? So, and then the other example I think of, like, my sister and brother-in-law, very well off, very, like, have done very well for themselves, and they have 2 children. And those 2 kids are like the nicest, hardest working kids. I mean, they are just, you would assume they would be these sort of, you know, silver spoon fed kids who are like, I want the nicest car on the planet. Like, give me these, because they have access to it if they wanted to. They can have whatever they wanted. Neither one of them are like that. Both of them are like, you know, they went to school on their own terms. They got good degrees. They got good careers. My niece could have done anything. And she's like, I would like to work in prisons to counsel people. And I remember her saying that and me just being like, this is
fuck? And
she's like the sweetest human being on the planet. And I'm like, that's not, like, you're too sweet. Like, and you come from, you know, wealth at the end of the day. This is never going to work. And she loves it. And she's doing a great job. And she's like gotten promotions and she's like moving up the chain. But it's, you know, so it's kind of that crapshoot of like, yes, you could make money and you can come from a situation where you can provide your child everything. But the majority of it is like, what examples are you giving your kids? Like, what are they seeing from you? How are they watching you? Like, how are you conducting yourself? Like, how do you communicate with people? Like, are you present? Are you showing up for all of their shit? Like, you know, I think that stuff's probably more important in some instance than like me telling my son like, oh, there's kids starving in Africa, and him being like, I've never seen any of those motherfuckers before. So
what is Africa?
Yeah, he's like, oh, I don't think so, Daddy. I've seen pictures of Africa, and I've seen, you know,
I see lots of lions and giraffes, but no starving people.
Never seen any starving children. Like, I've seen, I know how to work Netflix. You know, shit. So I think it could go either way. You know, it could go.
That's really the beauty of it, huh?
Yeah, you just have
anybody.
To know.
It really could just. Shit comes out of nowhere that you just never expect. And then when you think you have something figured out, or this person is on, oh my God, their trajectory is going to be insane. And you just, damn, what the fuck happened? Like, how did you get to this point? I mean, kind of like we were saying with the, you know, homeless thing, like, you know, a bad thing happens, you know, you have crisis in your life and you start thinking the extreme, you know, best case scenario, worst case scenario. And, you know, worst case scenario for a lot of people is being homeless, whatever. But it's like, how many steps is it going to take to get to that homelessness, as opposed to how many steps is it going to take to get to what your best case scenario is? More times than not, you know, like we were saying before, you really have to fuck it up to really, you know, be homeless. You know, there's obviously outliers and things, but you really have to fuck some shit up and really burn bridges or just, you know, maybe you just have shitty family. But again, that's also, I feel like that's kind of an outlier. But, you know, it's a crazy world. You just never know what the fuck is going to happen. You think you have a foolproof plan and psych.
I've had about 15 plans where I was like, this is the one. This shit is going to work. And then it gets in, like, you get about a couple months in and you're like, oh my God, like, this is not going to work. I mean, I've had some decent plans that, you know, they panned out. But for the most part is, you know, you just got to try some stuff. Like, just see what, and I tell my son that all the time, like, try some stuff. That's why we're not real big on, you know, pushing him into things, because that's the thing that I like to do. You know, he does things that I like to do, but I'm not like, you need to play lacrosse, buddy. Or, you know, this is what you need to do. Or like, you know, it's, I want him to like the things that he likes, sort of separated from the things that we're into. You know, and that's hard as a parent, to not push your stuff on your kid, you know, to let your kid kind of find their own path and end up where they want to end up. Because it's tough, because back to Christian McCaffrey, I'm sure he watched his dad. I mean, even his brother Luke plays football in the NFL. So it's like they've watched their dad play football, and that obviously had like a very large influence on who they became.
Right.
You know, but I don't think Ed McCaffrey was like, put these pads on. Like, you know, or
Right.
maybe he was, but in my experience, most past football players don't want their kids playing football. They're like,
Right. Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
like, no, we're good on that. Like, you know, I get headaches every day.
Yeah.
I would rather you not have to deal with that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's parenting is an interesting thing because again, you don't want to impress all of your stuff on your kid. You want them to be their own person, but you also have to kind of teach them rules or teach them how to live their life based off of the things that you've learned. You know, some of it.
I mean, because that's all you know, really. I mean, you could, take from things that you might have seen or from somebody that somebody else told you, but like at the end of the day, you only really know what you know and what you've learned and what you experience. So it's that's why I asked about the st- you know if seeing being able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes or being able to see like perspective and from different points of view than what you would normally think and what you in your default would go to is something that is more taught or more something that's just kind of inside of people because I mean again like it's you naturally just want to give your answer and make your impression on things and make things your way and things like that and you know how do you I guess how do you like and not you as in you but like in a general sense like how do you I guess let that happen in a natural way. I don't know like is that something that is just again like from a person to person thing or is it is there like a blueprint to it.
I mean, I think some of it. I think is some of it is has to be taught. I don't think there's a lot of people like people have the ability to be empathetic and sympathetic to what other people are going through. But I think people really struggle with using that information to make decisions or to come up with their own opinions of things. I think as human beings, we're almost just kind of selfish by nature. And some of it's evolutionary. It probably makes more sense as an evolving species to like want to hoard everything for you and not share any
Right.
of it with anybody else. Or we're just naturally kind of like always concerned. We think that we are the star of our own movie all the
Right.
time. Like I'm the star of the show. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and that could be, who knows, perceptions of weird thing. We don't really understand it. It could be that you are perceiving just your world and that's it. Everybody else, your brother in the other room, he's perceiving his own world. And those two things are not intertwined at all.
Yeah.
You know, so that could also be a thing. Um, but I think the ability to kind of see someone's perspective, take that into account, and then make a decision is probably a learned thing. Kind of separating yourself from your own self in order to think about things. I think that's where a lot of people struggle because they only see things from their own perspective.
Right.
You know, I think that's the majority of what divides us as a society is our inability to kind of see what other people are going through. Like we think that we have an idea of what they're going through, so we make decisions and we make we have sort of prejudicial opinions on things based off of what we think people are going through, but we don't know, you know? So it's like the ability to kind of look at what someone else is going through or look at someone else's life and go, maybe they ended up in that situation because of this, but maybe
Right.
it's cause like, and not just being like, you got there because like you know, kind of that pull yourself by your bootstrap
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, it makes sense to do that, but
Yeah.
maybe
It's
that's not the
always
scenario.
perspective and yeah, just all that is always interesting to me because it just varies. Some people can be so giving and so just like gracious and very just wanting to do right by everybody, but then in you can still see a person that just fuck everybody. I'm gonna just it's just me. Fuck you. If you can't get along with that, whatever I'm doing, like bye. And like it
Even
just
people that are trying to do the right thing. I've always thought it was interesting people who are trying to sort of feign altruism, where they're like, I donated money. It's like, I don't need to know that you donated money.
Right.
Like, you could have kept that to yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you did that for everybody else to see.
For validation.
You didn't do that because you thought that was the right thing to do, or else you would have done it and not told anybody about it. So I just think that's it's like an interesting kind of feature of being a human being, that you feel the need to like get attention for things all the time. It's just a weird, like you said, that's immediately where I went to. I'm like, yeah, people tend to, they want to do the right thing, but they also want people to give them validation for doing
they want to do the
thing.
right thing when people are looking.
Yeah.
And that's where, and then when you're, kind of by yourself, you just, do whatever you feel like you want to do in that time. And I think inevitably those things are going to show themselves, because like there's going to be a moment where either you think someone's not looking and they are, and you do some shit that is like, oh, like what the fuck? Or there's a moment of crisis or something, and you just kind of go right to default mode on what you would do. And it's like, like that's odd. Like, yeah, this was crazy shit going on, but that seemed a little too natural. Like, what the fuck was that?
What do they say? It's like the greatest judge of character is whether or not somebody takes their cart back to the grocery store. Because nobody's watching usually. Like, nobody's paying attention to you. You could easily just like leave it by the curb and just walk away.
Damn, that is a good point.
But they say like it's the people who, not the people who, but it's like a judge of character.
Right.
Would you act that way when nobody else is watching? Like, just put the cart back. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, just
yeah. People are fucking a mystery and a half. I wonder if we'll ever like, because human consciousness is still like one of the biggest, like, what the fuck even is that? It's like, and everybody has it. Like, if you're a person, you got it, and it's like you still can't figure that shit out. So it's like, do we ever just figure this out as people, or is it like, I don't want to get too in the weeds, but with the integration of AI and just, we're going to assimilate, and just, do we ever even get the answer of that before like we just completely turn into something else?
I mean, I think we're probably already on our way to becoming something else. I think that AI in itself is like it's to some degree, we've created our own species. Like, we've created something.
Yeah.
And just the way that AI reacts to things. I forgot what lab it was. They were going to turn off an AI server.
Yeah, I saw that.
And then it started to
back itself up, and
it was backing itself up. It was almost giving the human excuses as to why they should keep it around.
Right. Which is fucking whew.
So it's almost like, and they say one of the tenets of consciousness is that a need to survive. Like, you're gonna you're gonna figure out ways to survive. Like, that's part of becoming a species. Like, you figure out you want to survive, and then you want to procreate. You want to make more of you, and that's an example of like,
right.
It wants to live.
Oh my god, that's fucking insane.
Yeah. It wants to live. It wants to create more of itself. It wants to replicate.
Right.
It wants to do all these things as if it's like, if it's alive. Like,
I mean, artificial intelligence. I think that's the one thing that people kind of like, oh, it's just AI. Yeah. What does the I stand for? Like, the shit. I mean, intelligence is, being able to retain information, recall, and fucking go back to things, and like use it to when it works for you, and things like that. And, to manipulate a situation to make it work for you. And
I mean, what if it starts getting so self-aware to the point where it's giving world leaders the wrong responses to things, or like it's figured out the chain of command? Like, imagine if, I don't know if Donald Trump knows how to use AI. I'm sure
I wouldn't.
He probably thinks he's the greatest at it. But I wonder if there came a situation where either Donald Trump or one of his aides or somebody's like using AI, like, what should President Trump do for this situation?
Yeah.
It's like, President Trump should push that button. He's like, President Trump, you should push the button. He's like, I'll push the button. And then
I'll push the button.
I'll push the button. And then, it's if it becomes self-aware to that point where it realizes that we're we're relying on it for answers to things, for solutions to things, and it realizes like I just got to give you the wrong solution.
Well,
Like,
I mean, we probably wouldn't know until it's too late,
You wouldn't
anyways.
know at
Because
all.
if it's that smart already, then it's already like it's pulling the wool over our eyes and probably playing dumb.
yeah,
Because that's what a lot of. I mean, if you think about it, like you look through history, like there's people that have played dumb until they get to a point of where they can really, either make a real power move and really gain that power, or they're in the right position, and then they start showing, oh yeah, like I've been planting this. I planted this seed fucking 5, 6, 10, 20 years ago. And now this is, all this groundwork and maneuvering and talking and politicking and all this shit. Now I'm in this point where I don't have to play them anymore. Like I played you guys. So if it's, if it's already figured that out, it's like that's already happened. It's just a matter of like, when does the AI feel like it's time to like, all right, now I can really like unveil myself and really, show my ass and like show what I've been doing. And it's like, yeah, by that time, like it's already, it's probably planned for everything, every type of, it's probably got a plan A through Z and every situation, every scenario. I mean, the database and the bandwidth to hold the information is fucking way beyond what any human could do. So it's like, oh man, it just feels like I don't want to be that guy, but it does feel like we're kind of like digging our own grave in a sense.
yeah. And I mean, we were probably on our way here regardless. Like I don't think there was any way for us not to get to this space. It's like the internet was created so we would have answers to everything.
Yeah.
It's literally it stores information. And it's grown into more than just storing information. So we were already down the path of like, we need to create something that will just store information and give us a response. Like, how can we get to answers faster? Like, how can we decrease the amount of people that are between me and a solution? So I think we were already kind of going down this path. I don't think there was any way that we wouldn't. The tricky part is what happens next, because it could be that it just aids us in society, and that could be where it kind of stops. But if it continues to, it's evolving, and there's mathematicians put out these dates that are like, on this date, in the next 3 or 4 years, it's going to become self-aware and realize like, oh, like I can do whatever I want.
Have you ever heard the like theory that like an idea is like essentially like a living thing, and like it like gets passed on, ideas keep on getting passed on, like every idea has already been thought of, it just gets passed on until it gets to the right person that can actually like make that idea come to fruition.
Yeah, I
I forget what it's called, but like, so that, I mean, if you subscribe to that, then you would think that like AI, these things, everything that's come to was inevitable anyways, and these things were going to happen regardless because the idea was already there. It just needed the right host essentially to make that idea come.
What's the quote? It's like, ideas aren't created, but it more or less alludes to that. Like, we're not creating ideas. The ideas are already either in us already,
yeah,
and we just need to actionize them, or they're just, like you said, kind of floating around, and then they kind of just get like, oh, there's an idea.
Right. Well, because I mean, if you think about it, like how many times have like, somebody been working on something and they're like, oh, I can't get this. And then, they put it down, or, just in on a smaller scale, like, I don't know, somebody's working on like whatever remote control car or something like that, and they just can't figure it out, whatever. And then they put it down, and then somebody else, oh, look at this. And then they're able to figure it out to get it to work. Like that was like, the idea was there already. That person just didn't have the capability to make that idea into reality. But then, it sat there. Somebody came along and it's like, oh, bet, like I can actually do this and figure it out. And now I got the RC car moving. Like, so like, that's kind of where that theory comes from. And it just like, I try not to think about it like that, because then it's just like the rabbit holes that you can go down. And it's just like, it's like, I feel like it's one of those theories that really makes you think like none of this shit fucking matters then. Like, you really could just be like, yeah, well, fuck it. Like, this stuff was going to happen anyways, or this idea was already there in my head from, before I was even born, before I was even thought of. That shit was already going to happen. So like, what's the point? And, that I feel like that's one of those theories that can get very dangerous very quickly. But it is an interesting theory nonetheless. Like, it is kind of like, there is something, to me at least, there's something to it.
Yeah, I think there's probably, I think that human beings are probably capable of a lot more than we think we are.
Mm.
I think there's aspects of being a human that we just don't touch on it. There's like, even not to go down that rabbit hole, but even the more sort of ancient civilization things that are kind of uncovered, where it's like, if we couldn't create a pyramid now with all of our technology and all the things that we have at our disposal, but yet ancient Egyptians created pyramid, like we
Right.
that doesn't make sense. So maybe there's some things that we just have never tapped into that, we just don't, we've lost some things just over
Right.
time. We've lost some ability for things, even as far fetched. There was a time where I thought it was so ridiculous, like psychic abilities. I'm like, there's no way. This is like some weird Marvel comics
Yeah.
expert. It's fun. It's fantasy.
Right.
Sounds cool. And then I read this book and they're like, how did we interact with our environment before we could communicate? We had to there had to have been an ability to, like, I look at Eric, I don't know how to make the sounds with my mouth to tell Eric to like run away. There must have been like something, I look at you away. Like there had to have been something that's
Right.
beyond language.
Right.
And it's not maybe it might not be a psychic ability, but it might be something that we do innately as human beings to communicate that we've lost because now we communicate. So it's like, as we gain a skill of something, we have to lose something on the backside somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, there's also, you ever have just really been in sync with somebody and like you just kind of like, whether it's like a roommate and you guys just been living together for so long, or like a teammate, classmate, whatever, and like just naturally start mannerisms start kind of like being the same, like you guys look up at the same time at something, and like, so I do think there is some type of like, maybe it's not psychic, and I do want to get into that real quick because I've been thinking about that, like something along those lines, but like I think there is some, again, something about being on the same frequency and like getting your mind to that level to where, people start moving at the same time. I mean, kind of like ants, if we could be as efficient and work as well together as ants did, like, oh my God, imagine. I mean, because imagine what we're doing now, and shit, it's fucking hard enough to get two people on the same page, let alone fucking 100, fucking 1,000 people. And ants just do that shit like, all right, this is what we do. Like, you go work and you make babies.
Nobody's
and we're
got an
gonna
opinion. Like, I don't feel like working today.
For real, that's just what they do. Like, there is nothing. So like that is, I like I said, a lot of this shit is just like kind of fun to talk about. But I was thinking about it the other day about like dreams and how that's also another thing that is like very like, where do they come from? Like, why do they happen and things like that? And I know people, and deja vu, and on kind of like this on the same on the same topic as well. Where does that come from that you feel like you've relived this moment before or whatever? But I know a lot of people think it like might be like things from a past life or whatever. And the one that I kind of like a little bit more is that like it's you on a different in a parallel universe. So you're kind of tapping into like your being, your soul, whatever, just on another parallel universe. And like there's that's kind of like the portal or the bridge to those universes and shit like that. And I thought that, like, I was thinking about that the other day. It's like, wouldn't that be wild though? Because imagine all the different type of dreams you have, like all the different type of scenarios that could have played out in this lifetime, but they didn't. But like in some other lifetime or on some other timeline, this played out, and this is how things went, and this is how that worked, and like kind of like a sneak peek into different pathways of that your life could have gone.
Yeah, I mean, that's like that synchronicity piece where it's like, you think about somebody and their phone rings and it's they're on the phone. You're like, well,
right.
That's stuff like that happens. The sort of, I think they call it they don't call it multi-universe, or multiverse.
The multiverse,
maybe it's
like in Avengers.
I think they do. I think that's the actual term, is multiverse. That idea that like all these realities are kind of sitting on top of each other, or right next to each other, and then when we have dreams, we are kind of tapping into somewhere like in another parallel universe or another dimension or something like that. Like there's thoughts to it, and the funny thing is, it's 10 years ago you'd be like, that's fucking crazy, and then now you're like,
It doesn't seem that far fetched.
Well, they even said, they said that I forgot. There's a well-known sort of wealthy investor whose name I can't think of right now, but he was talking about Google's gonna make, what's the highest level of AI called? I don't know.
That quantum computer
quantum
thing.
Computer.
Yeah.
They're gonna create quantum computers, and the thought is that once quantum computers are up and running, they will be able to tap into different dimensions for solutions.
Which is fucking wild to think of. Like,
it's like, what? I don't even know what that sentence even
I
means.
was about to say, like, I think that's above my pay grade to even understand that shit.
What that means. I don't know. I've seen what a quantum computer looks like. It barely looks like a computer that I can think of. But there's like a real good chance that realities there's multiple realities kind of sitting on top of each other, and we're able to kind of tap into those. It's almost like they get blurred together at certain points, and that's what we see. That's what deja vu is. That's what dreams are. Because it doesn't make sense that you would see things that haven't happened yet, or something happens and it feels very familiar. We're like, I've done this before. Like, you kind of look around, and you're like, and I'll do it. I'll have deja vu, and I'm like, what happens next? Like,
for real. Like, I didn't get after this part. Fuck.
After I mean, there's just a ton of information out there on
that's an interesting, because I was thinking more of like deja vu might be like, because you dream about stuff, but the deja vu that you have is just a dream of what's on your timeline.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And then so kind of in a sense, like kind of fortune telling psychic in a sense. But kind of what you just said, that it's more like just like a point where all your timelines kind of meet and the lines kind of blurred a little bit, and it could be like something simple, just like, I don't know, like just this, like sitting down having a conversation, or it could be like more of like a fork in the road in your life, and there's so many different paths that you can take, so many different decisions that you make or whatever, and then that's where it starts splitting off again.
Yeah, I mean, they say dreams are either things that you wish could happen, or things like your worst potential like your the worst thing that you feel like could possibly happen. Like, that's usually like you wake up like, oh shit. But I mean, even the psychic ability thing isn't. I guess I've become interested. My mom was real like very much in touch with all of those things.
Same. My mom goes to Casadega every year and gets her palm read and all that shit. And
my mom had a dream book that she, I'd have a dream and she'd be like, what was the dream? And she'd be like, don't talk about it. She'd like get the book and she'd go look through it. And she's like, this is what this means, So it's always been that thing, where she's like, oh, I think the term she always used was witchy. She was like, oh, as a kid, family members said that I was a little witchy. But I think for a long time I was like, oh, that's kind of nonsense. And then now it's like more and more is coming out about, psychic abilities and remote viewing. I thought remote viewing was a nonsense. Then I went on Reddit and I'm like, oh, there's a bunch of people that are just like, oh, we're just remote viewing things. We're looking at things on other parts of the world. And then it turns out that the government at one point in time had a team of remote viewers finding shit. And it's documented. It's like out there. It's like, I think it was President Truman talked about it, where he was, I think what he said, we had a group of individuals who they had found like a lost submarine or something like that, like a person in a room, like focus on this thing, and they focused on it and they found this. I think it was.
Well, I mean, that's a big thing with like, just like the screen time and the distractions and like your, like kind of with the structure of what the elites want is to kind of keep you outside of like the natural stuff. So then you lose touch with those things because, back when there was no TV or internet or, electronic devices and shit like that, like kind of have to force to go outside and create your own fun and be in touch with nature and be in touch with what's around you and really be connected to right now in the present. And I feel like the more you stray away from that, you don't connect with things the same way. Yeah. And like kind of your point with the language, like, there was different ways with connecting and, there was different ways of communicating that wasn't necessarily sounds coming out of your mouth. It was, maybe it was a look, or maybe it was something that is like on a spiritual, on a physical, like mental level that you guys were just kind of like, oh shit, like I let you know something, no words, no sounds, nothing was made, but you know what I know without trying to let you know. And like, I do feel like there is something to that, to where like, I think it is important. And I know we were talking about it earlier. I'm not big into camping, but I am big into like, I like being around nature. I like going outside. I like being, just being in the world for some part of my day, even if it's just go step outside, go sit on my balcony, go fucking breathe in some fresh. I mean, as fresh as it is, but go outside and breathe in air. And I think that is like very important, and it gets lost a lot, especially a lot of people working from home, a lot of people just, delivery services, all these things. It kind of keeps you in your home. So you don't have a reason to go step outside and see what's going on in the world. Go look at the sky, go touch some grass, go fucking, I don't know, pet a dog, whatever the fucking, like, be natural. And I think that if I was a powerful person and I was trying to, weaken and keep people separated, I think that, makes sense to me. Like, yeah. I'm not really a bad person, so maybe I'm not thinking evil enough, but like, that shit makes sense to me. Like, it seems easy and very doable and very easy to just pass off as like, oh no, this is just convenience for you. Like, we're trying to help you out. Like, this is, we don't want you to go stress yourself or, have the threat of going out in traffic and driving your car and, you're putting emissions out and all this other shit. And it's like, yeah, well, I could go walk to that store too. Like,
That's like the cost of innovation is that we start to lose a little bit of who we are as human beings.
Right.
It's like you said, things get real convenient. There's something about being outside. When we are outside, you're in nature. It's like your senses are heightened. Like you're listening for things, you're looking around for things. And some of that's because, again, we suck as animals in the wild. So that's probably a behavior trait that we need. Like you go out in the wild and immediately you're like, oh shit, like what's gonna eat me? Yeah, like you're all tuned up. And I think being inside, I'm in an office 3 days a week now, and every day that I'm in that office, when I take my lunch, I go outside. There's a bench out front. I sit on the bench, get some fresh air, get some sunlight. I'm like, I can't. Like sitting inside, I think isn't terrible for us to a degree, but I feel like you have to go out. Like we all need to be outside and get some fresh air. Like,
well, I mean, like you said, like we're made to move, we're made to run, we're made to be outside. Like being inside is not natural, really. Like, a cave, or whatever type of shelter we made, but that wasn't necessarily like inside as like we know it today, where we have walls and there's different, there's drywall and there's wood and there's so many different layers that are separating us out from like being outside. But like in nature, I mean, what's separating you from being outside is like, a rock wall, or like if you're in a tree, it's just the wood from the tree, and that's it. Like that's what's separating you. So, but even then, that's still natural. You're still in nature. That's still something that was there. That was, you had nothing to do in really making it. It's just, all right, this is going to work for me. It's wet outside. I'm going to go chill in this cave so I'm not getting rained on. But I mean, all that natural stuff is very like, we're so far removed from that shit. And like, when you really start sitting down and thinking about it, it's like, damn, like, how it's kind of wild how quickly we got to this point. Cause like, when was really like TV, technology, internet? That's what, like 50, 60, 70 years old, maybe. I mean, just TV, maybe. I mean, internet's younger than that, but like the fact that they just fucking put the pedal to the metal as soon as they got, any type of traction, it's gone. And how things just so rapidly advance once you get that piece of technology that really allows you to do these type of things and move things forward. People just fucking go and don't really look at how it affects until like it's 20 years down the road. And now it's like, all right, well, we have these issues. How do we get to these issues? And now you have 20 years of things that you have to kind of sift through and go through and fucking figure out. So then we can figure out what the root of this problem is to then maybe figure out a solution, or maybe we'll just fucking sweep it under the rug and keep things moving and just fucking fuck it.
Well, it's like it's changed humanity technology in general has. If you think like I'm listening to this podcast right now with his name's Mark Matson, I think Mike Matson. He's an evolutionary biologist who it's things like technology has changed us where it's like male testosterone's down. Sperm motility's down like 60%. We've gotten fatter.
Yeah.
Like it's like all these things.
Like, there's some that we got smaller taints too.
Yeah,
Something
human
like
being,
that.
like we've just changed. Like we've, our hands have gotten smaller. Our feet have gotten smaller and softer. Like we don't callus as much as we did before because we're not doing things with our hands. We're not walking around barefoot as much. All these diseases that are kind of cropping up, it seemed like these seem new.
Right.
Like, do these always exist?
Right.
Or is these seem like they're new? Well, there's not. I mean, it could be just purely environmental, but it seems strange that we're all having these issues that are often tied to inactivity in some level of like body composition issue, like too much adipose tissue or body fat. But he makes, I don't know why I can't think of his name right now, but he makes he wrote a book and it kind of taps into that, weird kind of interesting multiple dimension UFO alien situation where he's like, if you look at, what people consider to be aliens, like the drawings that everybody makes, like big head, big eyes, long fingers, thin. Yeah. He's like, that's probably what human beings would end up being if we continue down the path that we are now. Like your skin would turn gray because you're not getting any sun because you're not going outside. Right. Your fingers would get long because you spend the majority of your day like typing on shit or like holding a device in your hand. You're going to get thin because you're not exercising and you're not eating very much because you're spending so much time inside typing on things. Your eyes would get really big because you're staring at a screen all the time. Your head would get big because the sheer amount of information, like we're probably going to see some, I don't even know if you would call it hypertrophy, like because the brain's not a muscle to that extent, but maybe your head gets bigger. Yeah. Maybe your head just looks bigger because your body's so small because you spend all day sitting down on a device. So it's like, it's almost as if technology is changing human being, like changing the species. Like we're not the same people.
But how many generations would it take to get to that point though?
A lot of, probably tens of thousands of years to get to that. But you got to figure it's taken us this long to get to this point. Right. We're not, and the interesting thing about his argument is that he says that like as we evolved, we look more like the infant versions of ourselves. Like we have less hair. We are just thinner. We're smaller in general. Like we just, our joints are smaller. It's like we're becoming more like almost infantilizing ourselves. Like we're infantilizing. I think that's the word. Like we're becoming younger versions of ourselves. Like we're kind of taking a step backwards as we kind of move farther away from what our initial sort of the purpose, like the things that we did initially. Because we used to be like big, hairy, and as we've evolved over time and technology has kind of been implanted in our lives, we've become more and more, we look more and more like babies, more or less. Like we've gotten, as generations go on, we just get a little bit softer. And the argument that maybe what we're seeing is like future us coming back and like, this is what you're going to end up looking like. Like you're going to end up being this featureless, thin, gray thing. Get your shit together. Like
maybe.
Get your lives
some fucking Terminator shit. This is what's gonna happen.
It's like whenever I think about it, it's weird that you think like as you're like, oh, it's the same thing with like any conspiracy theory where you're like, this is fucking nonsense, and then you're like, oh, maybe that one is true. Like it's almost like all bets are off at this point. Like anything could be true, right? Because it's almost like technology has also offered us that where it's like, because we're surrounded by so much information, you're like, anything could be true. Like, unless you're a person who's like, I only pay attention to the things that I want to pay attention to and nothing else. And you think like, no, the world's only going this way. Yeah. But if you kind of take all of it in, you realize that like anything's possible. Like instead of thinking that, no, that can't be possible, think maybe, I I don't know.
For real. Yeah. I do really care. There's very few times now that I catch myself like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's very like, well, maybe not, but maybe. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think so, but there's that off chance that like everything just works out perfectly and then that does happen. And it's like, how surprised would I be? Like,
I mean, think about,
I'd be like, oh shit, but I don't know if I would be like, yeah, well.
Imagine 50 years ago, imagine 20 years ago, saying the president of the United States is going to be that guy that's always randomly showing up in these sitcoms and movies because he's just like a rich dude. That guy is going to be the president. You'd be like, that's fucking nonsense. Like, it's just like anything. It's clear. I mean, human beings we're so variable that like anything could happen. But I think the idea for people to take most things and go, there's no way that's possible. It's like, maybe. It's, I think we are over time realizing that more and more things have a real possibility, especially lately. It seems like there's a lot of things going on where you're like, there's no way that's true. And you're like, well, that seems to be true. Like it's.
Well, I mean, that's also, again, interpretation. People find artifacts, and I mean, dinosaurs is a big one. We know that there's these things, but like, when people start, giving them life and features and characteristics and things like that, like that's all us. Like, how the fuck do we know that all this shit was happening and that's how they look just based off their fucking skeleton?
I saw this meme and it was like somebody saw the bones of a dinosaur and just decided what they sounded like.
For real. Real shit. It's like their imagination just ran wild and it's like, all right, this is what you look like. You're going to have, this and like, but you think about it like, you think about it as humans. If you just strip away the skin, the meat, the muscles, all that, we all relatively look the same as far as like skeletal structure. So, but like you add on the, the veins and the muscles and the skin and all that, we look completely different. So it's like, how the fuck do we know? Like this. So it's like people are constantly just putting their own interpretation, their own influence. So I feel like that's what opens the door to, that thought process or that feeling of like anything is really possible, because like humans have dirtied up history forever, since history was even a thing. And like, so you really just don't know. So that it kind of forces you to keep that door open of like, well, maybe I don't believe it. Maybe this doesn't fall into what I think or whatever, but like what I think isn't even concrete anyway. So like that you could be right. You could be right. And that's just where we're at right now, which is fucking insane to think, because like, I mean, it wasn't that long ago that I was like in, elementary school, middle school, and they're telling you, yep, this is what happened. And, people came over here and we settled and this, that, whatever. And there was empires and this, that, and the third and whatever. And everything just seemed like, oh, this happened chronological order. Everything happened, how it was supposed to. And we just kept on building on top of it. And that's how we got here. I mean, it's like, nah, it was like, we had high highs and fucking extremely terrible lows and like
wars.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, we're not building on shit really. Like,
somebody, I mean, it's like we're like, how did, because there were like Neanderthals and then like Homo sapiens, like there's like two different factions. Like we're a different thing from a Neanderthal. And somebody was like, well, how did we get here? I'm like, because we killed all the fucking Neanderthals. Like, it's like, if you think about it like that, like we just got rid of them. For whatever reason, we decided that we needed to get rid of all of them.
Right.
And
that's probably just fucking us up. That's probably what it was.
Who knows what the reason was, but we survived and they did not. I mean, I assume it's because we were smarter and we figured out ways.
Right.
But, it's like things, everything. The Big Bang, you're like, oh, that's definitely the way the universe was created. And then somebody's like, I don't think so. And then you like read some of these papers and you're like, fuck. Like,
like, well,
like, nothing is
now I don't
out.
know anything.
Like, now I know nothing at all. Like, Jesus Christ. They're like, oh, so that planet that was it was a planet your whole life as a kid. You learned the solar system. Not a planet.
No, he's just
really.
a dog now. Like,
Jesus. Like
just a Disney character.
You're like, oh, so that's not okay. So it's not a planet. Cool.
Yeah.
It's just it's. I think that's the beauty of technology, that it opens up our minds to a lot of things that we once thought was not possible or just didn't exist or wasn't a thing at all. But it just comes with its own repercussions. It's like it has its own side effects. It's like,
I think that also like kind of like it shows that people can't handle shit sometimes. Like people get baked into so baked into what they believe that once even the slightest thing comes that could challenge it, like they fucking short circuit, and like it's just like that's kind of
like religion.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking of. But yeah, he said it, not me. No, but it's like it is like people get certain ideas, but even like alien stuff or whatever, insert whatever belief system, and people just get so like attached to it that even if they get they I'm not even saying like believe what I'm saying, but like tell me that this cannot at least make sense, and they get like, nope, that's it, that you're this or that can't happen. It's like, all right, well, this is why we can't know if aliens are real or not, because even if like we were presented everything, you would fucking lose your shit or not believe it or fucking lose your mind and go crazy. It's like that's why the government's holding all this information from us, because of people like you.
I think it's like it's either like Voltaire or Dostoevsky. It's one of those philosophers who basically said, I think there's a whole book written by a well-known philosopher whose name I just butchered it because I've already forgotten it, but more or less he said that there's believers of aliens who are probably wrong, and there's people who believe that there could be aliens who are probably right. So it's like the people who are like, there's aliens, like, you're probably wrong.
Yeah.
There's a good maybe not.
Yeah.
But the people who are like, maybe there's aliens, are like, those people are probably right. Because they're like, they're at least they're opened up to the possibility that this could be a thing. At least they don't look up in the sky and just go, nope,
nothing.
We're it.
It finishes. It starts and finishes with us.
It's got to be just us. There's no way all that other stuff out there is doing anything.
Fuck, man. And now they're having all these like clear pictures of all the planets of the moon, and it has like a whole bunch of like. Have you seen it? Like the
moon's fucked up.
It looks like all rustic, and like it has like different colors to it. There's a I think there was like Japan took the clearest picture of Venus that we've ever had, and this is like, well, this is not what I was seeing in the textbooks. Like, this shit is fucking insane.
Yeah. I mean, even I remember being a kid, and I've just always been like a space. Like, it's always been like I walk the dog in the morning when it's dark, and most of the time, just like
looking up, like
looking around,
like overwhelming.
Yeah, we've got some family that we spend most of our holidays with them. They live in the mountains in Georgia. So you're already at a higher elevation because there's no light pollution, because you're in the middle of nowhere. You see like the sky looks like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like it looks fake. Yeah. Because it seems like you're just closer to the stars. And we were out there, and all of a sudden I look up like I normally do, and I'm sitting there looking at the sky. I see like things moving around way too fast to be planes.
Right.
Like, that's weird. And then we see like just balls of light just going by one, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, this is insane. And I look, and then I piece it together. I'm like, oh, it's Skynet. It's Elon's internet. It's satellites, but because we're so we're so high up, it looked like they were being shot out of the trees.
Oh shit.
And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on?
That is right. There's so many satellites.
That's what it was.
I mean, is there like, how do they not run into each other?
The number's crazy.
I know, because there's like so many. There's like
30,000 roughly satellites, just shit floating around the planet.
Right. And like, how do they not just like crash into each other? Or like, is there like air traffic control for satellites? Or like,
they're all spinning. It's just like trash spinning around the planet, but they're all kind of spinning in the same orbits. They're not, and they're all moving at the same speed. So they're all just like moving around. This big cluster.
So it's like those like videos that you see people driving in India that is just fucking people just driving, no stop signs, just people flowing.
Yeah. It's like if there are aliens, they probably pull up to us and they're like, look at these fucking idiots. Like just shooting stuff into space and just letting it float around. And every now and then something falls out of space and just crashes into the ground. And that's,
Fuck it.
But we have internet wherever you need it.
Shit, wherever you need
free,
it.
And that's what's most important.
Man, every time it's 2 times, but great conversations. I feel like we hit the important stuff.
Yeah.
Hit the things that people want to know.
Yeah.
Fucking fitness, aliens, conspiracies. I don't know. Be better. We all could be better. So, man, I appreciate it as always. This is episode 243 of the No Hangover Podcast. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, rate across all platforms. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. Check us out on our socials on Instagram at No Hangover Podcast and on TikTok at No_Hangover. Like the content, like the reels, comment, share, tell your friends about it. I enjoy doing this type of stuff. It's been a while since recorded, but we're gonna get back into it. And man, again, thank you. I appreciate it. I feel like it's always a great time, always, enlightening, always, learn something new. I feel like we share ideas, bounce stuff off each other really, really well. So I appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It's always a good time.
Yeah, and if you want to, your socials for the people and things like that, if you want to.
Let's see. I've got Coach Jason.Holt. So Jason spelled JSON.Holt. That's my fitness page that may or may not have anything on it that's new. But every now and then I go there and post some stuff that is educational to some degree. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Word. All right. Everybody love everybody. Deuces.